This is now recording, and I'll edit this for Maddie. We're looking good.
Okay.
Let me make sure. Salutations, everybody. This is Karak here with the H.A.M Radio Broadcast, episode 224, and I'm joined by...
Apsy. Hello.
Absy. Hello. Thank you very much for joining.
It feels weird, man. I've never been here while Maddie was here, so it feels like we're hijacking his podcast, and I'm like out of nowhere, just this random dude.
So that everybody knows, I've talked to Mr. Maddie about having him on. Matter of fact, I think last week or the week before, and we've been discussing it, and then Maddie informed us that he was busy this Friday, and because they're so good at making sure he's always doing the H.A.M Radio Broadcast, he was nice enough to hand it off to me. So if you dislike me but like Maddie, then put us on mute and just run it so Maddie gets the view. If you're here and you enjoy the content, I would absolutely appreciate you guys spreading the word on Maddie's channel or on Maddie's social media as well as mine at Jeremy Penter and at G27Status. But we're going to take over for Mr. Maddie. Like I said, he was busy. Also, if you like this kind of content, you can flick a buck to Mr. Maddie's Patreon. It's $1. You get early access to the podcast, and for $3, you get access to his Discord, which is excellent. Might only be the second best Discord ever after mine. Just joking. We have a ton of overlap, too. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Do you?
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. Maybe I will join. I would. It's only $1, $3.
It's $3 for that.
Yeah, I'd recognize some names over there.
Yeah, you'd recognize. Yeah. We have a lot of overlap in our fan base, which is sort of how it's not how we began, but like we found out we liked the same games, just like you and I did. And then over time, it just sort of, like as I noticed lists, I started seeing people bouncing around, and I was like, oh, that's very cool. It's not cool when one of them leaves his and comes to mine, or leaves mine and goes to his. Then you're looking at that list, and you're like, I hate that.
You're like, ooh. Do you ever talk about it? Do you ever go like, oh, by the way, this guy came to me and he left yours? Like,
no, we don't keep track of that. No, but I was, okay. And people don't have a lot of money, so like, and mine costs a little more. So, but no, we never do. So Absy's a variety streamer, streams a lot of horror games. He'll be doing some stuff this Halloween, hopefully. We're doing some streaming of scary games as well.
Yeah, and Outer Worlds, obviously. I mean, that's the one I'm mostly looking forward to stream. I mean, I feel like I've played a lot of the really good horror games. It's really hard because horror games is a hit or miss, dude. Like you can download a horror game, you can play it, and then it'll just be a walking simulator.
Right.
And sometimes it'll be overwhelmingly positive in Steam, and then it'll just be a walking simulator, and you're like, Why is this super positive? Why have the reviews been so good? But yeah, it's very hit or miss. So Alien Isolation was awesome, though. I'd say that's probably my favorite horror game of the ones I've played.
You've been doing pretty well. I've been watching the channel. You've grown a subscriber base for having just started in the last year.
I started in December, but then I stopped around March. For like a couple months, so that hurt a little bit because you have to be consistent all the time. And then I restarted again, and I started with I think Welcome to the Game 2, and then that for some reason got a lot of traction, and then I just started going from there.
That was the hacking game, right?
Yeah, it was like a hacking scary game. It was pretty good. It was pretty intense, but it got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm actually done with this. Even though it was gaining a lot of traction, I was like, there's not much more I can do in this game.
Bro, I think you just hit on what's difficult about streaming and stuff is when you are tired of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is with a game like that, it's really cool when you're first starting out because you don't know what the fuck is going on. You get scared of anything you hear, you get scared, you know what I mean? But as you play it more often, you begin to realize that there are some sounds that people make that it just baits you to thinking you're gonna get scared, so you start knowing everything, all the audio cues and stuff, so it's not as fun for the viewer because you know everything. You're like, oh, that's nothing. You don't get scared anymore. So
it's almost like, all right, it's almost like one of your watchers coming into your stream and telling you that, oh, don't worry about this, you don't really die here. Remember that guy who came in?
Oh, I don't do that. I hate that. Like even like little spoilers like that where you're like, no, you're supposed to die here. It's like, come on, man, I didn't want to know that.
Yeah.
So
I watched a lot of Maddie streaming. He did Fallout, and he did a full platinum run through Fallout, and I don't think he was tired of it, but he's got way more stamina than I do.
Which one? New Vegas?
I think it was 4. No, wait a minute.
Okay.
It was 3. It was
I
one
think
of
I saw him play New Vegas
Yeah.
when he was streaming a while
and it
ago.
was just like
Yeah.
watching him. I just don't have that tenacity to stick through that long of a game, especially being on camera. And he nails that shit. Like I'm watching him and he's just playing and talking to everybody, and I'm like, after the third or fourth stream, it'd be so difficult. But that's one of the things. Oh, and by the way, haha, I waited long enough. How long did I wait? 6 minutes. He won't hear this part. I do want to say, people don't realize just how cool Mr. Maddie is. And so I want to say this where he won't hear it when he's editing. So he won't edit this out because he's embarrassed, because he gets embarrassed when I say good things about him. I think nobody likes hearing good things about themselves. It always makes you feel like self-conscious. But, and I've told you this, you know, he's one of the nicest guys in like gaming. And it's yourself, Takedown, Mr. Maddie, some of these guys I've met, and I got to have Jenna on the podcast today, are just an absolute pleasure to work with. And it's crazy here when I look at how far he's gone. It's to episode 224 of this. And to be able to jump on here with Lone, and then Lone had to go because he was now working for one of the companies. But I just wanted to tell everybody, like, anybody who's listening to this, if you're not subscribed, if you're just listening on audio, if you're not in his Discord, you probably should. He's one of those guys that keeps plugging away, does a video a day. The dude's just got tenacity.
As dedication. Yeah.
It's legit.
A video a day.
Dude, it's legit crazy. I can't believe he does that. And I've told him that, and he's like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. He tries to explain it off, but I'm like, I don't think you understand, man. That's just some straight up difficult stuff to have energy every day and deliver interesting news. It's not like he's making the energy up. He's got energy every day, and it's phenomenal. So blessed to have met him and continue to work with him, and yourself as well. I've known you now for how long?
Oh, they're fun times. Our fair share of fun times. I've known you. It feels like more than a year, but I think it's only been a year, to be honest. A year and a half or something.
Has it only been a year and a half? What was the
first? I think so.
What was the first game we played?
So the first ever interaction we had, first ever game we played was Secret World. First ever interaction we've had was like a random podcast that I went on, and I still had like this shitty camera, and I had like a Logitech headset. And it was.
Was it you and
I
Alamine?
look back on that video. It was me. Was it Alamine?
It was Alamine. Yeah.
It was the Australian fellow. Was that Alamine? Leeson, yes. Yeah. And this other guy. Yeah, it was 3 of us, and we just talked about, like, I think Nier Automata was like the talk of the I think it was after Nier Automata came out, and you guys talked me into playing Prey. That's one other thing. Ever since I joined, like, your Patreons, your Discords and stuff, you hear a lot from people that you get a different perspective of a game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Prey, I played for a little bit, and I completely, like, I played it for a little bit, and I was like, okay, this is a cool game. I didn't really think much of it. I didn't really like get invested in it. Then you guys were like telling me all these cool things, and I was like, holy shit, I really should play this game. So you get a lot of those.
Yeah.
Where if you stick with a game a little bit longer.
I think it's cool because the community is behind, like, you know, people see YouTube, it's your condensed certain amount of time where you're talking about a game, and then a lot of times you just move on to the next game, but the Discord has a long tail discussion. You know? And then you'll see somebody like yourself go back, like Primal, and dude, you probably sold 6 copies of Primal by discussing it in the Discord, and people are like, what? Like, is that good? Okay, I'll get it. It's cheap here. And then they got it, and they're like, oh my god! And it's this cool thing.
That game surprised the shit out of me. Yeah.
It's a cool thing that happens in these. So Maddie does his stuff a little differently. He goes through. I've told Absy what we do. We're going to go through some news here. We're going to talk about Wastelanders release date and the adjustment there. So let me open this up, and it's going to be from Bethesda's blog itself that we're getting this news. Let me open it up, and I'll read a little bit, and we'll discuss what we think. All right, so new Wastelanders release date. This is from Fallout.Bethesda.net. New Wastelanders release date, private worlds, the Atomic Shop, and more. As we approach the 1-year anniversary of the launch of Fallout 76, we wanted to take a moment to talk about Wastelanders, provide an update on a few areas of the game, and share why we're optimistic about the future. Wastelanders. We've been hard at work on Fallout 76 this year, including our biggest free update yet, Wastelanders. We're excited about how Wastelanders is coming together, but it's going to need more time to be the best, most polished update it can be, so we're delaying its release to Q1 next year. So for anybody who wants to know, that's usually January to March or April. We've continued to reevaluate the change and processes to make sure the work we're doing hits our quality bar and yours. We apologize for this delay, but know it will be worth the extra time. Lastly, they say Wastelanders has turned out to be one of the largest expansions we've ever done. It changes the entire world with human NPCs returning. So, would this get you to return to Fallout 76? Because I think you did test it. Did you not play a little bit with one of your friends?
Yeah. Did the NPCs not get added yet to the game? Where they said they were. So this is what this is, right?
Yeah, human NPCs coming into the game.
All right. Well, okay. So the thing. So I played Fallout 76. I played it when it was free for like a week when they added that battle royale, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, I gotta say there is some enjoyment to be had, where because when I play Fallout games, I love the world. You know, it's like I love the world that Fallout takes place in, all of the Fallout, and to be able to explore that with a friend has always been like a dream, right? Like for actual Fallout players, you know, you want to co-op through them. Obviously, RPG elements and stuff aside, just strictly exploring the world and looting stuff is pretty cool with friends. It was a big bummer for some people that the NPCs weren't, added in the beginning. The only thing though is with their vision, I feel like rebuilding, I've said this before, but they had this vision about rebuilding, society and building like a little civilization and stuff. I feel like they should have just doubled down and just made it like full RP, like people are merchants and people build, little cities and there's a lot of players in a server and they make factions for themselves. So it's all player driven. Right. They actually wanted it to be like a rebuild thing. I feel like everything should have been player driven, but I feel like right now they're just a little they're doing a little pandering and they're like, okay, well, people are asking for NPCs, so we're just going to put NPCs in there. And so I feel like they're half-assing a lot of things rather than full-assing one thing.
Yeah. That's we've talked about that before. If we don't half-ass anything, you full-ass everything. I do feel that when it comes to that game, they could also do that, or they could do something where over a period of time, humans come in, maybe on the oxen caravans that are always, or whatever those creatures are in Fallout 4. Like maybe you see a couple more and a couple more, and they sort of spread around. But yeah, it's the fact that they didn't have them and sort of tried to say that was always the plan, is to not have humans, and now they're putting them in. Definitely, it does seem to be pandering, or at the very least, you could change it from pandering to just realizing that they missed utterly on what the fan base wanted.
Right.
There's really no middle. There is a middle ground, but it is a little scary because you either think one, they're pandering, and you're like, what else would they pander to? What if people wanted something that really would suck? And then the second is they're not pandering and they are sort of incompetent, which is weird. It's like you can't really.
Did they allow mods yet in that game?
I don't know.
Like modded servers, because
I don't know, servers, but no,
they didn't add that. Okay, because I don't know if they trusted the community a little bit more and made it super community driven. Like we see a lot of those MMOs that are insanely what's that space one called? EVE Online and stuff. A lot of crazy stuff happens there. I feel like if we had that in a Fallout world where people made their own factions, and I feel like that would have been really, really cool, to be honest. That would have been innovative. A lot of people didn't really want that, but I feel like that would have been different. You know what I mean? That would have been like a completely different Fallout game.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some older news here about private servers, when they're coming. People are just still asking for them. So it just says wants to support mods, but currently on the main servers they can't do it. It does say that
honestly, mods would probably fix a lot of issues like they have with previous Bethesda games. But I feel like modded servers, people would be able to. I don't know. It depends on what they allow people to mod, or what the full scope of it is.
Okay, well, look in here. It looks like I might be wrong. Look in here. It looks like there's a couple mods on Fallout Nexus, so I could be wrong on what they allow. Unfortunately, as somebody who doesn't get a chance to play it. Oh, yeah. Okay. It says Kotaku did a story. It says modders are making Fallout 76 less frustrating to play. So it looks like some people have adjusted some stuff. It'll be interesting to see how much you can adjust without the game assuming you're hacking
or something.
Yeah. Better inventory mod is one. and then a perk loadout manager. It doesn't look like anything crazy. Anybody in the chat?
Those are probably just all client side, right?
Right, yeah. So anybody in chat, feel free. Yeah, because remember with like WoW, they had Curse, and you could download the mod.
Oh yeah, client side add-ons for sure.
Client side add-ons.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the server side add-ons. That's where like the actual changes in gameplay would happen, right? Like actual huge persistent changes. You got GTA RP and all those games. But yeah, definitely hard to gauge if people are hacking or not. There'll definitely be different servers for like there'll be modded servers and there'll be normal servers if they're actually gonna add that.
I haven't returned since like day one of it coming out. I played it a little bit, and I know some people in Maddie's Discord plays. So if you guys have any heads up, feel free to post it in comments. But I just feel overall that my Alexa. I feel overall there's just a lot of work needed on that game. Just never. I don't know how they're gonna get it so that people look at it like ESO, because ESO is so good, dude. Day one of ESO, I already told people, even without Tamriel 1, where it took everybody and put them in the same world, I was already like, this game is actually pretty legit. There's some things wrong with it, but it's a fun game, and they've just continually made it better. But its core was good. Where Fallout 76, it would be difficult, I think, for even fans to say the core is really good. But...
Yeah, well, with ESO, what I found is that you get a lot of enjoyment out of it if you actually play it like an Elder Scrolls game. If you play it as an MMO, you're not gonna have as much fun as you going around and act, because there's good lore, there's good conversations and even choices, and they nailed that part. 76 obviously didn't have NPCs in the start, so. You couldn't play it like a Fallout game, really, aside from just exploring and looting everything, being a loot hoarder, which is a huge part of the game for sure. But it was always about NPC interaction with Fallout games.
Yeah, for me overall, I just don't think I'll get back into it. I guess it just depends on if Wastelanders is the biggest one. There's been people who are really excited about it. It depends on, like you said, how it feels in the world once they do add them. Because if they add people and it just sort of makes sense somehow, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it is called Wastelanders, so it could be like, oh, here's a group of Wastelanders who moved in.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on how it's sort of rolled out, because if you roll it out slowly, it's not going to make sense to anybody who jumps into this game later. They'll already be there. You have to, you know what I mean? Because it's a continual tick. Every second that goes by, something in the world might be happening. So I have a feeling you're just going to log on, and that add-on it'll just be like, boom, here's something. And that's what I just don't know what that something will be. They do say that this will also have private worlds. So there you go. So that's when you'll get the private worlds and possibly the true mods.
Hopefully you can increase the capacity in the server load or something. I don't know. If you really want to make it like an RP server, I feel like more players should be.
You mean so yeah, because it doesn't have that many. How many do you think feels like a real world in those games? I usually expect over 100. A couple.
Yeah, well, the map is 4 times bigger than Fallout 4. Fallout 4, I don't know if you know the exact number of NPCs Fallout 4 had, but it'd have to be 4 times more than. I mean, it doesn't have to equate like 1-to-1 like that, but I feel like if you want a full-fledged out, people living in places and merchants everywhere, and I feel like you'd have to have a basically a metric fuck done. Like, I don't know how much that would be. Probably like 200 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and it also depends. I'm not ignoring you. I'm getting my authenticator
up
and running so I can sign into Maddie's Discord so I can check his patron questions.
Right.
I think when it comes to like what I would expect for a world like that, a couple hundred, and then spread around in different. But they need to also have interaction. They can't just be standing there. Yeah. So like I would want them to be moving around and like giving me missions or something like that as well. I think that.
Oh, you're talking about actual NPCs.
Yeah, because if they put NPCs into Fallout 76, I would just want them to be. There would need to be something that they would do other than just being there. Like they would need to give, because I don't just want to take care of them or have them just standing there. They would need to do stuff.
That's probably what's gonna. Honestly, man, like I feel like it's not gonna do much for the game, because it's. For NPCs to work like a Fallout game, I feel like it has to be just a private, co-op game and not an online thing. Because when you put that MMO, you can't really have persistence with your choices. that is going to affect the world.
Right.
It's only going to affect you personally, unless they make like some weird instance thing. But I don't think the NPCs are going to matter as much, or the choices are going to hit as hard as they usually do in Fallout games.
Yeah, either do I.
Which is my only worry, right? That's why I feel like just like the full player thing would have been better. But
looking at their questions, we try to read any questions that come up that have to do with the topic. So right now we're going to be talking about Fallout 76. Let me scrub his questions here. Last Tuesday, last Wednesday. Let's look. Here we go. Undead Regime says, Fallout 76 is a guilty pleasure mine. So after watching your video on the update they put on Wastelanders and Atomic Shop, I'm genuinely feeling sick. I hate to admit it, but I spend more than I'd like on microtransactions, and I hate that I do. I've had to uninstall games I like because I realize that I end up spending too damn much on them, and I'm sad to think that the game might be one of those. But yeah, this should be a question, LOL. What do you guys think of Bethesda's line about how this is what the community wanted? I'm sure shit don't know or haven't seen a single damn person asking for more paid advantage items in the Atomic Shop. I forgot. It is going to add micros. More micros.
And are they going to like affect gameplay in any way, or is it just cosmetic, or...
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look that up. That's one of the problems with these games that have been around for a long time. It is when they change the game from when you buy it. You buy it, you get it, you're playing it, and then like later on the developer comes and adds micros, behind it.
They come in and they're like, it's been long enough. People who don't like the game aren't going to play it anyways. We're not going to take much of a PR hit, you know what I mean, if we add micros right now. So we're just going to sneak them in there. I don't know, man. Honestly, I feel like micros are better when the game is free. Obviously, like I don't mind them as much.
Right.
But yeah, it's gonna happen. I mean, they want to milk every last cent at the end. Like people who don't like the game aren't gonna play it. So, but adding it with NPCs, I feel like might be a bad move, because some people are probably gonna look at the game and be like, "Oh, there's NPCs now. I'm gonna probably return to it." And they're gonna see that more micros are added, and they're probably gonna back off a little, right? So
yeah, and it looks like they do have some pay to make it easier or whatever, which is weird on an MMO game.
Right.
But I mean,
that's weird because it's online. Yeah, that's true.
I guess also that's actually a good question, by the way. Thank you for the question. I think Maddie can probably answer this better, but I would say overall I don't think he would disagree that we just the nobody really wants any kind of improvement or pay to win kind of situation in micros, even though I'm a firm believer in that if you want to join in my game and play, I want you to be able to without spending. I don't always assume you have the same amount of time as I do, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
And I don't know how to go about that in a game yet. I have not found a game that I feel like I can look at it other than an easy mode, which then like, you go up in level. Let's say you want to enjoy Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but you don't have 140 hours.
Yeah, it's a fucking long ass game.
I do not feel that I think it's awesome to say, oh, guess what? You don't have enough time. Well, you're just going to have to find it. In some ways, I would want ways to work around that. But I think with an MMO, you shouldn't. That's just me.
Right. Yeah. I don't even know. Like, I feel like, honestly, this is going to sound pretty bad, but I feel like if you're going to, buy a long game, a huge RPG or something, I think you have to make your decision before you play it. I feel like if you're gonna play a long game, you should know that you're gonna play a long game. Like honestly, it's as simple as that. If you don't have time for it, you don't have time for it. Because the people sometimes expect, like in Odyssey, they were like, oh well, I have to do all these side quests and stuff. What if I just want to do the story? And I don't remember any actual RPG having you just completing the main quest and being able to do it that way. Every single RPG, the amount of time that the dawn of time has had a side quest that you're supposed to complete so you could level up, so you can do the main stuff.
So what you're saying is also just be an informed consumer.
Exactly. I mean, you're gonna go and buy Pillars of Eternity if you can't invest like 60 hours into it at least, or Disco or whatever. Like these are big ass games, and you should know that you're getting into it.
Yeah. So, I think also we talk about competition because there's so many games out there. You may not be able to enjoy one particular game because it's too big, but there's probably competition out there that's very close to it, that's not as long, or something like that, and maybe that's
Right.
that's almost I actually see what you're saying, because there's some fantasy books that are 300 pages, and then you have like Game of Thrones books, or
They're
Wheel
like
of Time.
1,000 pages
They're
each.
1,000
Yeah.
pages, and it's
Yeah.
just when a person sees it, they see the physical representation if they buy them, and they look and go, that's too big.
Exactly. Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah, they're not gonna skip pages, right? Like,
Yeah, because that's awesome. Like
Yeah.
skipping quests, a side quest in a game.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I just
Yeah,
read the
yeah.
main story threads. I have no clue what else is going on. That's a really good point.
Buy the most expensive version, and they give you more summaries and stuff rather than
That's
full-blown
awesome.
plots.
Just crib notes
Oh.
and shit. You just get the
That's like a microtransaction for the game, is to get
that
little,
would be
like,
amazing. So
spark notes.
you buy a book that's like supposed to be 1,000 pages. It's only 300, but it's got like 20 pages of crib notes for the side stories.
Yeah.
It's just like
or like a reading guide where it tells you exactly what
Jon
pages
Snow
to read.
went here and did this, but it really didn't matter. Skip to page 14. And you're like,
Exactly.
all right. Yeah, I never even put two and two together. That's a very good point. Thank you very much for the question. I appreciate it. Verifying here. That's it for Fallout 76 stuff. So moving on. Gonna talk a little bit about Outer Worlds. So this was interesting because I saw, so this is on WCC F Tech, but it's also an interview that Game Informer just put up as well. They put up a side interview, but basically what they did was they talked to Brian Hines about gameplay, role-playing, Microsoft buyout, and more, and then Game Informer did the same. There was some interesting discussion about Microsoft's purchase of them. And let's see, I want to find this. This is, I'm going to read this from WCC F Tech. They're the ones who originally had it. Let's go down here. Here we go. How was it for the studio when you had the Microsoft buyout? Did that change anything, or were the attitudes in the studio influenced at all? It didn't change much on the Outer Worlds because obviously we're being published by Private Division, just so everybody knows that's who's handling the game. This game, from that point on, it'll be Microsoft. That deal is still intact. On the studio level, for me personally, one of the nicer things, or nice things, is that now we're a part of Microsoft. We're focusing more on what the next games are going to be, rather than how do we pitch the next games, indicating that money is probably easier to come by. Game Informer also did an interview, and they said that it's been nice. Microsoft has marketed the hell out of Outer Worlds, which I would agree with. I'm seeing Outer Worlds stuff everywhere. I've got a copy of it for review. Do you think we'll see something different when Obsidian, like in Obsidian's next game, or do you think Microsoft is going to be generally hands off for their games?
I feel like, well, we'll better judge that after Outer Worlds comes out. So what I think is, so Obsidian has always been good at making these RPGs, mostly CRPGs when they work alone, right? Other than Fallout New Vegas, KOTOR 2. Mostly they do CRPG, and their games are great. Honestly, the dialogue is amazing. The games are pretty innovative. They have interesting mechanics. Now I feel like with Microsoft's help, they'll be able to make more fledged out games, first person, like we see here with the Outer Worlds, more AAA games. However, hopefully that same, that spark, that innovativity. Do you say that, innovativity?
Innovation.
Innovation. Okay, that innovation and that attention to detail remains the same, because usually when games go more AAA, and that happens a lot, they lose some of that that the thing that makes them different, right? Because they're trying to pander to more people. I hope that's not the case with them, but we'll see. But I feel like for the most part, it's a good thing for them.
Well, and also, I mean, I think everything in life, when you're scrappy because you don't have a lot of stuff, your brain works in a different way. So, like, when you're starting a channel and you're scrappy and you're trying to figure out every way and every positive you can, eke out of something, and like trying to come up, you're basically hustling. And it does feel like Obsidian has spent their lives hustling. And so this will be the time when they can sit back and be like, okay, we don't have to hustle. And then you have to figure out, is that going to change some stuff? Are they going to... I don't really think anything they do is very unique. They just do what they do well, which is story writing and stuff. So I hope that doesn't get affected.
Yeah. The dialogue's always been good.
Did you do Alpha Protocol?
No. Was that Obsidian?
Yeah, that was Obsidian. It was a shooter, RPG
oh wow,
shooter.
no.
where
I know what you're talking about. I just never played it.
the only reason I bring it up is because they have tried some stuff that's a little outside the box. A lot of people consider KOTOR 2 better than 1. I'm not one of them, but that's fine. I think I just was more fresh in KOTOR with 1, and by 2 I sort of knew what was happening, the overall way everything was working. But yeah, I would agree. The hope is that they don't suddenly magically lose that hustle.
Their spark, yeah, and sorry, I think maybe innovation wasn't the right word. What I meant was their maybe attention to detail, or their dialogue has been, it's different than normal games. I guess what you said is true. Like, they do their thing good. The CRPGs, nothing innovative about that. Like the pause play combat system and all that stuff. It's just their storytelling and the way dialogue is delivered has always been. Have you played that game where you're actually the evil person?
Tyranny.
I forgot
one of my favorite
Tyranny.
Games. Yeah,
so good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean by innovative. It's like it's a familiar game. You look at it and you're like, oh, it looks like Players of Eternity, looks like any other CRPG, looks like Divinity. But once you really get into it and see what you're doing and what your morals are, it's actually it's actually very different.
That's true.
Really
it would
cool.
be interesting to see if they could sell that to Microsoft in the past.
Yeah.
So let's say they never made Tyranny and they just roll out of Outer Worlds. They got some DLC. I don't know what they're doing for Outer Worlds, but they get done and then they're all, okay, we want to make a game where you're the bad guy.
Right.
And remembering that, I don't know if you know this, but Tyranny was a completely different game and was sold to Microsoft, and then Microsoft decided against it. They took all of their ideas and made Tyranny. Yeah. So that's what's even more interesting is did what part of it turned off Microsoft? I think it probably matters less when you're working for, they did say that they're able to pitch things a little easier to Microsoft. Microsoft probably also is just going to be a little loosey-goosey with these devs. It feels like the devs they purchased, they're probably just going to use whatever output they make and hope that it does well versus stepping in and,
I mean, I think that'd be the best idea for them because their exclusives haven't been as grandiose as the PS4 ones, right?
Right.
So I feel like the best option would be they bought all these companies, let them do their own thing, get us a bunch of unique, diverse games, diversify, because Xbox has always been, shooters mostly for the most part. Sea of Thieves is pretty different, but I feel like because the companies they acquired as well, they're all different.
Yeah.
They're not all doing the same thing, right? So I feel like if you let them do their own thing, it'd be pretty cool.
Well, and you don't buy a world record holding sprint horse and then make it run endurance runs.
Yeah, true.
Right? Like, if you bought it because of whatever record it was breaking, you wouldn't be like, okay, we're done with that shit. Let's have you lift weights. And you're like, that fucking makes no sense at all. But so hopefully, it sounds like Microsoft would do that. Hopefully that's what we see. But yeah, they bought the Hellblade developers. So you have Susuna's Sacrifice, which is just a unique game, pretty much through and through. You've got the guys who made We Happy Few,
right?
Which I'm sorry I can't remember their name. And then you have these guys, and they also bought Playground for Forza. Supposedly Fable 4 as well. I guess that's one title that could be exclusive. And
really,
is Fable. Yeah,
I don't know what they would have to do to Fable to make it a good game now, because
agreed.
Because Fable back then was super cool because of when you go back to Fable now and you play it and you realize what made Fable special to me was you could do whatever the fuck you want. You could steal stuff, kill whoever you want. You could do these choices.
Every game have wives and babies.
Yeah, every RPG has that now, so they definitely have to. They'd probably have to go back and do what Peter Molyneux said Fable 1 would have and put it in the new game.
Yeah,
where you can plant the tree and watch it grow.
That poor bastard. Do you know what Peter Molyneux must just be like? I wish I'd never heard of trees. I wish. Who knows? Maybe he's completely oblivious, but if I were him, I would late at night go to sleep and just be like, I wish I had never heard of trees.
Trees everywhere. Just get PTSD every time you look at a tree.
Yeah, because I remember he said that, and people stuck to that, like glue. And admittedly, he did say it was running at one time where you could do that, but it just killed the CPU. It just the systems weren't powerful enough. Yeah, with these guys, I hope with Outer Worlds, what we see is them do this, sort of make the game that they want to make here, and that Microsoft sort of steps off. That would be my hope, is that Microsoft steps off. It was just interesting to hear them mimic what the other devs have said, which is that they just didn't really have any contact when it came to creativity from Microsoft, as in Microsoft did not state, you need to do this.
which is a good thing.
Yeah, the Hellblade developers who are making that 4-on-4 shooter that we saw at E3, the really crazy looking.
Oh,
remember?
Right.
With the weird designs and all that stuff. That
like the melee half fighting game, half like it looks pretty cool. Yeah,
they already had an alpha for that too. I think Reg got to play that. I don't remember what he said.
Know. Yeah. I didn't see any gameplay for that at all.
So I'd like to know what you guys think. If you're excited to see what Microsoft can do with them, or if this is probably, I know a lot of fellow nerds were probably had their hearts broken when Obsidian got bought by Microsoft and are just ruining the fact that I haven't said that it's going to ruin everything. So I'll just add that. Yes, anybody, it'll ruin everything. Obsidian's going to fall apart and it'll all be Microsoft's fault. I don't think it will.
Well, if you're afraid of running out of CRPG games, now you got a new up-and-coming company called like XY or something that made Disco Elysium. So I mean, they might take the.
That's the other thing.
They might take the
Another company could step forward, right? Greedfall.
Right, fill that void. Yeah. Greedfall. Larian Studios doing Baldur's Gate as well.
Yep, you've got them. You've got the guys who made Greedfall. You have these companies that make these awesome games. Let them step in, and maybe they'll be the plucky upstart. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, Greedfall.
Is my camera blinking for you every time I talk? Okay.
Looks
all right.
It looks
on my
perfect.
screen.
It's just Discord. Okay. Looking through the questions here, I do not see any about this particular thing, so we will move on from there. And let's discuss, what else do we have on the list? Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order previews are very positive. So I don't have any news, you know, like, or anything we can sort of read because most of these were video that I saw. I did see that a lot of people actually felt this looked good. I went to some forums. People were actually really excited for it, but I want to know from you, like, what do you think about just overall Jedi, and are you excited for it? Do you not care?
No, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I mean, people have been, not just me, I've been begging for just a normal just a single player Jedi game for a long time. I mean, I know there's a lot of things you can add to it. You can, the choice of being in the light side or the dark side, that's a huge, Star Wars theme, and it works well. It worked for KOTOR and Force Unleashed and all those. But just deliver a good story, make it linear, whatever. Let us kill people with lightsabers and use our Force. Let us have some fun, and maybe from that they can build onto it and make a bigger game where you actually get to have choices and stuff. I just feel like they're going with the safe bet, what people have been asking for a while, and what we haven't been getting for a while, which is just a single player, kill people Star Wars game.
Yeah, and you did Unleashed 1 and 2?
Yeah. I enjoyed them a lot.
Do you think you enjoyed them because of the gameplay, or do you think you enjoyed them because of the alternative lifestyle of the Jedi, or of the main character, being
like
a
the
bad
dark
guy?
versus light?
I don't know why I worded it that way, but yeah, him being a bad guy.
Part of it was being like the apprentice, the Sith, Darth Vader's apprentice. That was a really cool part. I went full dark mode in that game, full fucking evil dude, which was a really cool part of the game. Another thing that caught everyone's eyes was the physics stuff, right? Like moving shit and like throwing stuff and throwing people and force strangling and all that cool stuff. That was pretty awesome too. But I don't know, with Jedi Fallen Order, the animations, the combat, the different the ability to stop a bullet and then put someone behind his own bullet and stuff, that all of that really looks really cool. So
yeah, they were showing videos of him doing that, like moving people around into the bullets, and that looked like it could be a blast. It also looks like it's going to be self-contained sandbox moments. Like during this battle, you'll be able to do a bunch of stuff, but the world is a bit more platforming than I expected. So, and I'm actually okay with that. Like if you look at it, it looks like it's more, here's a battle, here's some guys, do what you want, here's some powers, and then do some platforming, climbing, adventure game, Uncharted almost, where, you know how Uncharted's like that? Uncharted is paced out, where it's like action moment, exploration moment, action moment, and it's sort of,
and then like a scripted type of movement type thing, right?
And I'm okay with that.
I don't mind that at all. I mean, honestly, I'd have that any day over just a barren open world where you have to go from outpost to outpost.
Say the Ewoks all day.
Imagine just like go to Outposts and free Ewoks from their captive. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. The world kind of reminded me of a half Dark Souls, half Uncharted type thing, where
Right.
it's maybe not super linear. You'll probably be able to go around and have some shortcuts and unlock some. That's what I like about more linear games. That exploration is rewarded more. I feel like you find like a little creek, and under the creek you find like a little collectible or
Right.
a skill point or something. So
Also Cameron from Gotham is the actor. He's from Shameless, and
you love that guy.
I love that guy. Yeah, dude, he's a phenomenal actor, and I liked the guy who played in Unleashed as well, though. The actor who played
Right.
in Force Unleashed, I thought he was really Sam Witwer, yeah, played the bad guy or played the main character in Force Unleashed, and I dig that when they get an actor that like makes sense. I think Sam did a good job in Force Unleashed. It wasn't like Jack Nicholson, where he's like, "Hey, I'm a Sith," where you're like, "Dude, it's just Jack Nicholson." Here, it seems like Cameron, the main character he plays and stuff, sort of fits. This is canon too. Did you know that?
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's the actor from what do you call it, from one of the movies, the Rogue One movie.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
With he has lazy eye.
With the lazy eye. I forgot what it was called. Yeah. I forgot his name.
I keep trying to call him Cuba Gooding Jr. It's definitely
No,
not
it's
him.
not
He's
him.
in
Rat Race?
he's in court right now for sexually assaulting people.
What?
Yeah, he's in
Holy
trouble
shit.
for like supposedly harassment or something like that.
Damn.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
Forrest Whitaker.
From Rogue One,
Yeah.
right? He was in.
He was in Rogue One. Yeah.
I think they did a pretty good job of their cast.
Yeah.
Not too crazy. Did we see any other effects? I don't think I've seen anything other than there's been throw, there's been like pick somebody up, put them into a laser beam. Have we said slow down time? Obviously, is one.
Yeah.
Or slow down laser beam. Sorry. Have we seen any other skills? Obviously,
I don't
he's
know.
a good guy, so he's not going to have force lightning.
We saw like when you know those mini bosses where it's kind of like Sekiro, where you just clash swords until one of you loses posture.
Right.
That we saw that.
No
I don't know.
dismemberment. We saw that, right? No dismemberment. Didn't
Wait,
they?
no, there was for sure.
No,
Was there not?
Yeah, it looked like it in one video in particular.
Where a hand cuts off.
I was damn near. Yeah, I guess with robots you can, but if it's humans, there'll be no dismemberment.
Dismemberment is big in Star Wars universe, dude.
Yeah,
how can they take that away?
Because they want to hit PG, whatever. They did say that it was to hit.
Well, without blood, they still wouldn't hit PG.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think it's just dismemberments overall are considered like, dude, you can't chop somebody's arm off whether you shoot out goo or not. So
Damn.
I think they said something like with robots and aliens it's there, but with humans it's not or something. But they did state that yeah, they're not putting it in this game. Also, he's a good Jedi, even though Obi-Wan chops off that dude in the original Star Wars. He chops off a guy's arm in a bar. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just think that good Jedi don't do that.
Yeah,
I do.
How cool would it be though, getting a gritty Star Wars game just like with blood and everything?
1313 was going to be that, man.
Oh, true. Yeah, that was a sad.
Yep. It was a sad cancellation. People don't realize, we talked about this on Maddie's podcast last week, is that people don't realize how many games are canceled. Like, we were talking about Harry Potter. We saw the previews of that Harry Potter game that leaked, and we were talking about how we haven't seen anything of it, and we're like, we have no clue if it's still coming out.
Dude, biggest disappointment in my life was that Stargate SG-1 game getting canceled. I think it was called Stargate SG-1 Ascension or something.
Yeah.
And I used to have the box sets, right? So I think it was season 7, and in the first couple discs, there's a trailer for the game where you get to play as Teal'c and O'Neill and everybody.
Or O'Neill, yeah.
Oh, exactly, everyone, and they showed this cool story, and Anubis was in it, and you get to travel through Stargates, and then they canceled it, and
I have a couple copies of games
sad.
that have never got released, actually.
Oh.
And it's actually pretty cool to play them because a lot of the games get a long ways before they're canceled. Like Scalebound wasn't as far as people think and wasn't as good as people think, but there's actual games out there that were pretty much released and then couldn't be released for whatever reason.
Right.
And they were very far along at the time. There, in particular on the Dreamcast, there was like 6 or 7 games I still own that are like, they never got released for whatever reason.
Sometimes they release games and then take it down from every store there is imaginable, like that PA game or whatever.
That PA game did that.
Game.
Agony,
Yeah.
I think, did it for a little bit of time. That horrible
Hatred.
game. Or was it Hatred? It might have been Hatred.
No, there's a lot. The Hatred was the one where it's like the top down where you kill.
Yeah, it wasn't that. It was Agony, I think, was the one.
Agony.
It was just that game was utter horrendous. Did you know Gene Rain, the game I reviewed? That game never came to Steam.
But it has a sequel on Steam.
It's got a sequel, but the original that I reviewed, it's gone. You can't get it from Steam anymore.
The Never Touch game.
I think, that game.
They probably watched your review and they're like, "Well, if nobody's gonna touch it, I might as well take it down."
As I single-handedly destroy some Chinese company out there that was trying. It was probably Tencent. Anyway, no wonder they hate me. Well, they don't. That's the problem. Yeah. So back to Star Wars. I think overall, I'm pretty excited for it. What do you think hours-wise? Do you think it's going to be like an 8, or do you think it's going to be more like a 20? We see a lot of 25-hour games popped around.
I didn't think it would be 8. I thought it would be smaller than normal RPGs.
Okay.
No, like I was thinking 25, 30.
Okay.
Maybe 20 hours. Maybe I'm pushing it, but a lot of replayability value. Like a metric fuck ton of replayability value.
Where will the replayability, or where are you
choices?
hoping to get that from? Oh, is there dialogue choices? Because I haven't seen any.
Wait, are you talking about? Oh my god! I was looking at our Discord and it said Outer Worlds.
Nah,
I completely thought we were talking about Outer Worlds.
We'll talk
Jedi
about
Fallen Order.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like that would be around a 15 to a 20-hour game. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Not replayable. No. Just maybe replayable if they made it so that you can't be the jack of all trades and get every single skill available. Because a lot of games do that.
And plus kind of thing.
N plus would be really cool in that type of game, yeah.
What do you think?
Can go back
what does an N plus look like to you for that game?
For that game, well, obviously enemies would be harder. So you'd be able to utilize all your skills and stuff into the new game. Maybe inventory items if you get different lightsabers and stuff, if I remember correctly, or gems or whatever.
Gems, I think, yeah.
Honestly, with new game pluses, you just have to make enemies harder. Maybe increase enemy count. Okay, with games like this where you're going against multiple people, like Devil May Cry and stuff, I feel like increasing enemy count is a huge thing, rather than just making everyone tankier.
Yeah.
So that you can utilize all your skills that you have more, right?
Especially, it's also weird in fiction. We talk about this, but it's weird that I'm smashing you with a lightsaber and you suddenly live through 30 hits, and you're all
right.
But an extra bad guy who maybe lives through maybe they have double the hit point, maybe even just 1.5 times the hit points, but you've got 2 bad guys there. That can be pretty crazy.
And they both attack you at the same time, not like someone waits for somebody else to.
Or maybe even a remix version where you hit you go back into your game and almost like Remnant, where the guys might be in a different spot.
Procedural generation.
Yeah, because I'm a little nervous that we're going to play this game and it's going to be, I know that the staff wielder is in this spot because this area is bigger. Have you ever seen that in a game where you walk into a game area and you're like, I know the certain type of enemy types that can be here? Because the game world is shaped in a way that I know that like a staff wielder won't fuck up in the graphics and clip because it's a bigger area. So this will have a staff guy. And I would like to I would like to see something switched up that way. Because we don't see that. Uncharted, I think, doesn't do it. I think they do it with good AI where the AI flanks and so it feels like it's different, but I don't think they do extra enemies. Yeah,
I mean that type of randomness where nothing spawns the same exact place in every playthrough. I feel like that would contribute to replayability value and stuff like that.
Do we see enemies in games? Do you remember a game where, like, let's say there's an enemy with a staff and one time he's got a shield and the next time he doesn't? Do you see games like that? Because that would be sort of cool too, is if it augmented some other defense. Like what
I think in Fallout people have different guns every time, right? Or do they have the same gun? I don't know, because in Fallout, isn't there some sort of random looting?
There's definitely all the random containers? NPCs, but I think the containers, I can't remember if that's random.
Like if that one person has a rocket launcher every single time you play the game.
I do know that if you try that in most of those games, when you kill them, they won't always have the item, which has been a consistent problem with a lot of RPGs, where like you'll kill a dude with an amazing weapon. And you go up.
And they don't have him. That's what I like about Bethesda games, because they always have, whatever you see on the guy, you're gonna get.
They usually do, yeah, right? Usually, or they drop it or something. But
Yeah.
how many games have you killed a wolf and they have a gun or whatever? And that's happened to me. Like you kill
That's some World of Warcraft stuff right
yeah,
there.
that's World of Warcraft. They've got a leather
Yeah.
jerkin on a wolf, and you're like, what the fuck's the wolf
Yeah.
wearing like human armor for? I would like to see this Jedi game have it where, like I said, where you go into an area and maybe they have a different. Maybe one guy's got 2 lightsabers instead of 1. Then the next time he's got a shield and a lightsaber. Just small, even if it was just very. So you're always like, when I come around this corner, I don't know if it's the enemy I defeat easily or the enemy that's been giving me, shit problems.
Yeah.
Because Surge 2, I think that was one of the issues with Surge 2 I had, is I always knew Dark Souls as well, Sekiro as well, but you always know exactly what enemy's there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I guess that's a part of the gameplay, but at times it feels, if you have to do a corpse run or there's a certain group of guys, you are always like, it'll be 3 dudes with these, then it'll be a 4th guy with this, and after a while,
And they keep respawning every time you die. Yeah, I feel you. Man, I don't know, maybe this isn't the right game for it. Maybe it's not the right game for it at all, but I would have, like, I love starting off in games as a fucking peasant, with nothing, and then working my way up and getting maybe a lightsaber down the line. I feel like that would have been more rewarding. But I don't think that's the right game for it. You know what I mean?
You mean like
I think
starting out
more
with
RPG.
like a vibro or something,
like a pistol,
or a pistol or something,
like something like that, where you're not fully a Jedi yet. But then again, I don't think this is the right game for it, because I feel like you need a little bit of more RPG elements.
What if they just give you a stick and you're beating the shit out of droids with like a piece of shit
baton?
Stick? Yeah, it's breaking and you got to go to a tree and break it again. It's like Zelda with its weapons that constantly degrade. You just constantly hitting them on the head with a little stick. I'm just excited for it. I just think I think you're right. If 15 hours would be, and I don't know if they've said the length, they might have, but 15 hours would be an amazing, just tight, but still fairly big enough for like your $60 price point.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to see.
I feel like if you rush it, you'd be able to finish it in 12 hours. And then if you want every single collectible there is, because I think they mentioned there will be places you're able to explore.
They have shown
you don't have to explore, right?
Yeah, they
so
definitely
there are like side quests and stuff. Yeah.
And you take out an AT-AT. Oh, I spit my mint out. You take out an AT-AT one time. I do that every time I'm talking to Maddie. I'll be talking
from the inside.
Yeah,
from the inside. Yeah, like every single Star Wars game I've played, you had to go around with like the cables and try to trip them. And this one you actually get to go inside, right? Which is pretty. Wait, is there driving? Like, can you drive a plane?
You mean fly like a snow fighter or something? I haven't seen.
Or like the Falcon.
You're definitely in a spaceship for cutscenes, but I don't think there's any you at the helm, if that's what you mean, that I've seen. Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that. If there is, that would be amazing. You know what though? That would be an awesome way for them to garner some positive press. Is surprise. True surprise in their gameplay
that they haven't showed before, and actually be like, oh, by the way, you can do this.
Imagine in reviews, people are like, and wait until level 5 when something amazing happens, and you're playing and everything's normal, and then suddenly this scene you never saw, pops
you know what
up.
I'm expecting? I'm expecting to get the game, but launch it, and then have it all be a hoax and be like, oh, by the way, you got KOTOR 3.
Oh my god.
we tricked you guys.
Well, remember the rumor about Red Dead 2 was that you were supposed to be able to beat it and start out as in Red Dead 1.
In Red Dead 1,
because some of those locations were there, and people like that. Does seem like at one point that might have been either a thought process on their part or something like that. But,
well, they have the map there, all of it. So
it would be Maddie'd freak, because Maddie's like me. Like KOTOR's, probably number 1 for him. I think it is number 1 for him. KOTOR 2. KOTOR, where do they land on yours? Like top 10? Are they in the top 10?
I never.
Oh my god! Here we go.
Let's not talk about this.
I forgot. He hasn't played KOTOR.
I listen. The time has passed. I didn't play it at the time.
Yeah.
I tried playing it later on.
It's rough.
It's rough. So even with mods, man, I tried. Okay. I really want to. I mean, I played for a little bit and I really enjoyed the choices and the dialogue a lot.
It's rough though, dude. You got to have beer goggles and then like also an Ambien or 3 to play
the combat thing they have with the little arrows and stuff. Man. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was trying to sell somebody on KOTOR, I don't think I'd even tell them to play it. I'd just be like, let me describe it, because it
Just
is...
watch a playthrough or something.
Well, like Jade Empire, Maddie, I talked about it a bunch, and Maddie finally played it, and he's like, man, this game I really like, but KOTOR, or sorry, but Jade Empire has actual attacks. You know, you're controlling the character.
Yeah.
And so, yes, animation-wise, it wasn't the slickest because it's been years, but it was already BioWare, who were worried about making it look good, so it was still a step above. But with KOTOR, you're just like, dude, hit this button and then watch a character leap into the air without bending his knees, looking freaky when he does it, land. It all looks sort of janky. The animation when they dance in KOTOR is...
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it is with BioWare. They got to put dancing in every game. Every game. And you got Commander Shepard. Do you remember Commander Shepard being like out there on the dance floor? Did you ever dance in the Mass Effect games?
Yeah, because I definitely played all the Mass Effect
Oh
games.
my god. Which did you... I forgot. How many of those have you played? 0?
No, I played Mass Effect 2, okay? For a little bit. I was a kid, all right? Listen, I didn't know what good games were, okay? I didn't know what good games were.
Were
I
you
was
playing
in high
Candy
school,
Crush instead?
No. My favorite game was Fallout 3, all right? Thank you very much. That was... See, I love that game. I loved Oblivion, all right? Mass Effect 1, I think I got it. I was a kid. This is probably going to piss you off, but I hated the combat in it because I felt like enemies didn't react when I shot them. And I was a kid and I was very stubborn, so I was like, I'm not going to give this a chance.
You're a bad person who does bad
I'm a really
things.
bad...
You're a bad person who does bad things. I
thought of A-Man. One day I will go back to it. I feel like it is playable. It's not like KOTOR.
You can mod it to shit with your PC. High
Exactly.
resolution textures and...
Yeah, so someday, man.
Dude, I don't think anybody's gonna... So the combat in those games 1, 2, and 3 aren't the greatest.
Yeah, but the difference now... Sorry. The difference now is that I don't care about that anymore as much as I used to before.
Right.
Like quality-wise, so...
Yeah, I get you. So you're saying they're bad quality, and you're okay with that now?
Right now, yeah. If the game is good, if the game is good, I don't care much about the quality.
Well, you played Greedfall.
If an enemy is gonna flinch,
right?
I did, yeah.
Greedfall doesn't. It's not gonna light the world on fire with its animation.
Right, exactly. I mean, the combat is not that good in that game, but you know, that game is under budget though. You could tell. Like some enemies would just spawn right there and just look at you until you approach them. So
that's another thing. So with this one, you're talking who knows what the budget is, but you've got 2 main actors. Then you've probably got some side bit actors for this. So you have main voice actors. It looks pretty good. I wonder what the budget will be for Star Wars when it's all said and done. Like if we're looking,
big.
Yeah, but I mean, do we think like it can't be 100? It's got to be like in the 50, maybe 50, 60.
50 mil.
Because 5 million was Greedfall, but they were hustling, like we said about Obsidian, like they were hustling to get that done. I don't know. I'd like to know what this cost, because I mean, I wonder what Cameron alone cost as a as a Hollywood star.
Right. I don't know what AAA budget is. How much wasn't Star Wars Battlefront like 200 mil or something like that?
Yeah, it was insanity.
Wasn't it something stupid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's this one single player. Voice actors gonna be huge.
Voice actors be big.
Animations, graphics look insane. So.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows. If anybody knows in chat what that costs, post it, because I don't actually know what the
maybe 100.
Man, games are climbing, dude.
Yeah.
In their cost, especially when you add those voice actors. I mean.
Yeah.
You know, even just because it's probably not just the voice acting, it's like paying for his likeness, because I'm sure they have a license not only for the voice acting, but like you're paying for his face to be in the game, and he's on the cover. Are you looking right now?
No, I was just thinking about if what do you call it? If they should raise the price of games, but you know, I don't want to get a lot of hate.
All right. Next up, we're going to talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare. This is an announcement. Call of Duty Modern Warfare post-launch approach to new content. So this is when they basically said that they're not going to have loot boxes, but I'll read some of it. So this is from blog.activision.com. It says a message from the Call of Duty team. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is almost here. From the moment this project began 3 years ago, the energy has been extraordinary. We've set our sights not only creating the best game possible this year, but also breaking down walls, bringing the community together. Starting with Modern Warfare, we will be introducing crossplay to unite the community across platforms for the first time. Removing Season Pass and a la carte DLC multiplayer maps to ensure everyone can play together. That's amazing. Deliver free post-launch multiplayer maps and modes for all players. Releasing post-launch multiplayer maps and modes simultaneously on all platforms. Another big bonus, because in the past there's been like PS4 exclusive stuff.
Right.
All this shit. We're excited about these changes and what they will bring to Call of Duty players. That said, we also recognize there's one more topic that many fans are interested to learn about. Today, let's address the basics for the in-game economy. We're introducing a new battle pass system, not a loot box system. All functional content that has impact on game balance, such as base weapons and attachments, can be unlocked simply by playing the game. The new battle pass system will allow players to see the content they are earning or buying. Battle passes will launch timed to new post-launch live seasons. I don't know exactly what they mean by that. So you can unlock cool, new Modern Warfare-themed content that matches each season. With the new battle pass system, players will be able to earn COD points by playing the game. There will be a free stream and a premium stream of content in the battle pass system in Modern Warfare. New base weapons will be earned through gameplay simply by playing. Functional attachments for base weapons can be unlocked through gameplay as well. So here's what I read from this. They keep saying so new base weapons. They've said this twice now. New base weapons, and they've also said functional attachments. The very next thing they say is the Battle Pass in the in-game store will feature a variety of cosmetic content that does not impact game balance.
Yeah.
So they keep saying base weapons. So my assumption is the reason why they're saying that is because there's some kind of cosmetic special weapons. New base weapons will be earned through gameplay. They're very clear about stating that twice.
Maybe they meant base weapons as in weapons without any attachments on them. So it's just the base, and then you could put attachments on it.
Yeah, and so, but then why do they, if they write it that way, does that mean that you will be able to buy so that says new base weapons will be earned through gameplay. It does not, but it doesn't really indicate other than the store will feature a variety of cosmetic content. It doesn't say it won't have pay to win stuff.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think they're that dumb to do that, to be honest.
Because doesn't that seem like weird writing though? Because they keep saying.
I don't know why they mentioned. Also they also said you'll be earning. You can earn attachments by gameplay.
Yeah.
As well. I don't know why they said as well, because I don't think you're gonna be able to receive attachments from paying money, right?
You're right, though, as well does mean in addition to.
Yeah, so I'm scared. I don't think they would do that. Maybe it's just bad writing, bad wording. But because if they remove loot boxes and yet add pay to win, it's gonna be like, what? Who cares? Like if it's a loot box or not, it's still gonna be pay to win, right?
And so I don't know about you, but if I ran their PR, I would just say the only stuff in the store is cosmetic. You get everything by playing the game. Thanks, and just be done.
That's all you had to do.
Instead of all this wordy shit where you're like, well, we didn't really say that. We said this, but
it wouldn't make sense at all, to be honest. Like even like it's awesome what they've been saying. The maps there's not going to be any DLC maps.
I know.
That's fucking awesome. They realize that like. Yeah, I mean, they realize. I think because of Fortnite's success, people are realizing now that, hey, they made a free-to-play game. They just have a battle pass on there that gives you extra content. Look how much money they're making.
Yeah, right.
We don't need to do all that extra stuff, all those paid DLCs and stuff.
And people are generally happy with it as well, as in they feel they're getting their worth. And
exactly.
Lack of loot boxes, they do point out, which is cool. So you'll know exactly what you're working for, exactly what you're fighting for, exactly what you're buying or what you're getting at least.
I mean, even then, I mean, some people may not agree with me, probably not. But with cosmetics, I feel like there's a certain rush when you're paying money to open a loot box, and if you're gonna get like a really cool skin or not. But for that to work, there's gonna have to be like an economy where you're able to sell the skins to make money off of it or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, gotcha. Like different rarities, Team Fortress too.
Like Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, those Steam games, they have a Steam market and stuff. you know, it's gambling. I'm not gonna say it's not bad, but you know, some people like the rush of that. But to see exactly what you're gonna get is obviously really good for the consumer. It's just you know, maybe that's like a different thing where people like to gamble if they're gonna get like a rare skin or not.
I think crossplay is awesome. Lack of loot box is
Yeah.
awesome. I think no exclusive is amazing because, dude, I'd have people who are like, this map is cool, but you get it next week. By next week, I'm on to something else.
Right, yeah, for
Like,
sure.
I'm sorry, but there's too many indie games. The choices, it's ridiculous. And you and I talk about this, like you get analysis paralysis, where you're like, I have too many. There's so many titles everywhere, and there's
Yeah.
so many choices to make. That if you fuck over your audience even from the start, even a little bit, there's the diehards will come back, which is great. But you actually would like people to just keep playing your game, even if they're not diehards.
Yeah.
Are you excited about Call of Duty at all? I don't hear you talk,
Yeah.
other than me and you talking about Infinite and stuff like that. I don't hear you really talk about the
Call of Duty.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah, I'm most excited for the campaign, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for the campaign. Like, I feel like I tried the gameplay. Here's the thing. I tried the gameplay in the beta, and it seems like they're taking a step back from all the crazy stuff. You know, all the like double jumping and crazy wall running and stuff.
Right.
And you know, it's more grounded in reality. Even aiming down sights is more realistic than Modern Warfare. The old Modern Warfare is. You can't like quick scope and all that stuff. You know, running is slower. Everything is much slower, so I feel like they're gonna deliver a really, you know, a campaign that's gonna kind of suit that type of gameplay.
Right.
So it's gonna be more grounded in reality. However, the multiplayer side of that, people are still running around and doing the crazy shit they do in all the Call of Duty games. So that really didn't translate as well for the multiplayer part. So that's why I'm a bit skeptical for the multiplayer side of things.
Yeah, I remember you. I think you DM'd me. You may have just put it in Discord, but you're like, they're still running around like chickens with their heads cut off. What the fuck?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So how are they still doing it because there's no risk of dying? And the reason why I asked that is because I watched Angry Joe die like 800 times in a row. Remember? You and
True.
That dude was getting gutter sniped. It was insane. And I couldn't tell, was it because he was playing the old way and you're now penalized for that, or was it a lack of understanding the new game, which because we're not all amazing at every game I
think he died a lot with that game mode, the Battlefield game mode, the big one where
you're absolutely right.
And I feel like you have to play that one differently for sure. Also, you mentioned something about like no risk, right? That's also true. Like if you're playing Search and Destroy is basically, or this other one where it's a set of rounds, and each round, if you're dead, you're dead. That's it. Like if you die, you're dead. I feel like with that, people would you know, play like Counter-Strike. You know, they'd play much safer and more tactical for sure. Yeah, that's very true.
Because there's a risk.
Because there's a risk. Yeah. You're not just gonna respawn 2 seconds after,
right? Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you do the 2v2?
Yeah, I really enjoyed those as well. Those were also slower.
They
were also much
awesome
slower
in the stream. I got to admit, I watched those guys play in the stream, and that actually looked really fun. But I never got a chance to play it. I mean, were they small? Were the maps small? Because it looked like one was pretty small.
They're pretty small. Yeah, they're pretty small. But there's like there's like different angles you can stay at and aim from and stuff. So it's like a little bit more tactical. People aren't running around in that at all. You know, they're crouching, they're moving slowly, trying to not make any noise and stuff. So yeah, that's also a really good game mode. I feel like with this Modern Warfare, I wouldn't be playing much of just team deathmatch stuff like that, right?
Would you play the Warfare one, the big one? Or what's it called?
Yeah.
Is that the
I don't know, the Battlefield one? I mean, it's pretty cool, but I think I enjoy the smaller, more tactical based ones a little bit more, because that one's also, you just respawn over and over again.
And if you play that, isn't that really just stealing players from Black Ops 4? The Black Ops
what do you mean?
Well, I mean, because it's just the same style of gameplay if you're doing the Battlefield. I mean, because that game's the online all the time, running around shooting people. I don't know. It feels like there's overlap in the multiplayer if you do the Warfare version versus like is it Black Ops 4? Is that the one that?
Or are you thinking Battlefield 5?
No, the Call of Duty that came out last year.
The Call of Duty one, yeah, Black Ops 4. Yeah,
it feels
Black
like
Ops 4
you're stealing players from each. I don't know. It just feels like there's overlap between that and maybe the bigger mode on this one. I could be wrong.
Well, that one does have also the battle royale mode that they didn't add to this one, so that might be something different.
You play that one anymore?
No, I used to. I really enjoyed that until, I just stopped playing. And I feel like they added microtransactions into the battle royale mode now, so I think you get like airdrops or something now. I don't know what the hell they did to that game.
That is a game I just don't hear about at all. It
died.
Like it died. I don't know. It's Twitch. So somebody might be like, well, it's still number blah 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 on Twitch. That's totally fine. They could be right. I'm just saying the consciousness of gamers have moved on overall.
Well, Apex took over that type of gameplay. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. Respawn has a really good track record. Going back to Star Wars, I don't think they had a release that was pretty bad. So
no, I mean that's the one thing though is like, do you think it'll? So how many multiplayer modes does this have? Do you know? If you don't know, how many have you? How about this? How many is that we know of? Team deathmatch.
It's gonna be team deathmatch, free for all deathmatch, search and destroy, domination. Hopefully gun game. I hope so. So
that's
you
6.
got you got 6, and then you got the round, the 2v2 one.
Yeah. 7.
And then the 8th one would be like the one where you could revive your friends. I don't know what that one's called. Probably around 10. Yeah, I would say.
So
more or less.
Do you feel that that's too many to keep them consistent, like high on Twitch and stuff like that, because it separates the user base? Do you feel like it'll be one of those ones where only like 3 of those modes get played? That's the way I feel in all of these online games.
In all of these, yeah, definitely not at the starting. I feel like at the starting you'll get a lot of players playing everything, but once it fizzles, I think like the 3 of them is going to be like the meta, what people are going to be playing, and the others you're not going to find as many lobbies.
What do you think the meta is going to be? What do you think the 3 or 4 hot ones will be?
Ooh, that's a good question. Search and destroy. Or at least the new one with the reviving one.
Mm-hmm.
Team deathmatch. Obviously, you're gonna get people playing team deathmatch, but I don't think that's gonna be the meta for like esports.
I think 2v2 is gonna knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
I honestly, because imagine if you're good enough, you got a friend who's good, and you start. Even if you're not great, there's something about, hey, I know where you are. You want to play right now. You don't have to get a whole team together, and it's like, let's just join up and just 2v2. It just feels like that would work, and that would end up being really
it works in that game for sure. I mean, didn't the first beta that came out, they only had 2v2, I think.
Correct.
When people were playing on Twitch, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
I think this one's pushed.
Awesome. And then maybe the big mode, the warfare, do you think that'll continue, or do you think that that'll just sort of be, what's it called?
I feel like
remember. Operation.
I don't know what it's called. Warfare? Something like that. I feel like that's just going to be a game mode for snipers to play, and people who want to snipe just go into that game mode. So it's going to be filled with just snipers. To be honest, that's what
I. How do you play? You and I've played, but I haven't seen you play one.
I always in every game I like to play different shit. Like I never have a main ever in games. I like to experience a lot of things. I feel like sniping, I'll go snipe. If I feel like using an assault rifle. Also, sometimes it depends if we're attacking, if we're defending. I don't like using sniper rifle when we're attacking that much.
We should go back into Apex and get our asses handed to us and then uninstall it.
Oh my god. We would play one game and then uninstall it.
That was ridiculous. If anybody doesn't know, so Abzy, myself, and Takedown were playing a good deal of Apex. Very fun game. Really enjoyable. And then we stopped it wasn't very long. It was like maybe 2 weeks.
We didn't. Yeah, we played for a couple of days. Like we didn't play every day for the 2 weeks.
No.
Sure.
No. I'm saying we stopped though for about 2 weeks, right? Didn't we stop playing?
Oh, and then come back.
And then when we came back, yeah. So we played. Yeah. We played multiple days in a row and jumped around. We played some days we couldn't meet up. He played on his own a little bit. We get back together after not playing, and I can't remember. It's maybe a week or 2 weeks, and it's so crazy how that game's skill curve, if you aren't playing all the time. And we got back in there and we were in this ravine river area and we were just getting smoked. And I think we only played one. We may have played 2 games, and that was it. And we were like, we're done.
Yeah, and MMR wasn't out yet, so we get matched with random, because it's just 100-player battle royale, so you get skilled players, unskilled players all mushed together in one giant clown fiesta.
Prior to that, we were doing pretty good. You guys both had cluster. I think I only had one, You guys both had multiple like really good clutch moments. I still will remember that time where Takedown was carrying us. Fucking, we were both
with a
dead.
controller.
With a controller, so that everybody knows, this dude was rocking it with a controller and ended up saving us both in that. We were in the desert area, and we're just like, go Takedown, just go, fucking save us.
They added a new map, by the way, but you can't even play the original map anymore. So it's just that one new map.
Why?
That's what they did to the game.
Because they want to keep everybody
in one place,
in
probably.
one place. Have you tried that new map?
No.
Either have
I didn't try the new season or the new characters or anything.
Yeah, I think we probably jumped in because one new character, maybe. I can't remember why we jumped back in.
I don't remember. We jumped in the first time because we literally watched the Respawn's thing, and then right away the game was launched, and so we're like, okay, we might as well play it on stream now, and we did. Got our asses handed to us, and it was a fun time.
Yeah. Well, how was the highest we got? 5th? Maybe
something like that.
3rd or 5th.
We never won. Yeah, we never won. Yeah,
we never won. I won one game in that entire time, and it was with randoms. It was, and it was like, it was weird because I always chose the shit ass sumo wrestler, the fatty, who I just wasn't very good at playing, even though I liked him. I just liked his design, and that's always the way I've been.
Shield when you right click, when you like aim,
dude. I was never good with that guy. Like, in fact, whenever I switched out, I did better, but I'm stubborn, and I'm like, nah, I want to keep playing with the fatty, and jumped in, and the only time I've ever won was not even with him. I jumped in with like the bird person, the one with the mechanical bird. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, that guy.
It's the only character.
Or sorry, not guy. That
what is
that? I don't know. I don't think it's. I think it's a just
asexual,
unidentified, or cisgender or something.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't even know any about that, but yeah, I just remember jumping in and winning and being like, "Whoa, we did well." I had a lot of kills, and then after that, just got smoked again. I was like, "Okay, maybe I just played against the absolute idiots." It was all AI, probably. Have you tried new Fortnite?
No, but honestly, like, I'm not a huge fan of Fortnite, but it looks much better. Like, the graphics wise, the art style pops out more. Everything looks more fluid, and apparently people are loving it now. I think that whole black hole thing, they are fucking smart marketers, man.
They did nothing but show. They shut their own game down, guys, so that people, because we will move on to that. We want to talk about season 2. They shut down so that anybody who doesn't live on Earth, they shut down their own game for 30.
People were freaking out, man.
Yeah.
Like, kids were running around. Like, some kids were punching screens and crying and going crazy. But there was so much hype being generated. They got everyone to stream that damn thing, dude.
They streamed a black hole. It was just a hole in the screen. There were like, the one I saw had like 12,000 people in it. Just, what's happening? Yeah,
dude,
it was
one guy had like. So what they did was they introduced a timer, and the timer was counting down. And while the timer was counting down, your Shroud was streaming. There was Tifu with like 200,000 people watching. Just a timer countdown from like an hour, and then when it reached 0, they nothing happened. Like, they just kept it. So they were really smart with that, man. And then the launch was insanely successful. I mean, so many people were watching. I think that they did it in the right time too, because it was kind of dying off. Before that whole thing happened, because there was a lot of balancing issues and stuff. So.
Yeah, on a new map, it'll take a while for people to get good, find the new balancing issues there, find issues, and then that'll take a while they're building another map. Yeah, very intelligent. I hope we see the same thing with like Call of Duty and all these games, is like an intelligent addition of maps and all that kind of stuff. So I always get nervous that like a map I like won't be popular anymore because like everybody's moved to the next one.
Yeah, you get that. Yeah,
especially with Call of Duty games. Have you ever gone back and played an old Call of Duty game?
Yeah, I played Modern Warfare 2 recently, like the story. I was like impressed. I was like, damn, dude, like there's a lot of thought to the story. Like, it's not just one of those, just a linear shooter game. There's a lot of kind of like Spec Ops type stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How everyone always talks about Spec Ops and the morality and all that shit. There's a lot of that in old games. People don't remember, like, Black Ops was like a fucking a Christopher Nolan movie, dude, where the dude just doesn't remember stuff, and then you go back and forward in time and shit. And there's a lot of stuff, dude. There's a lot of cool things they added to the campaigns.
Speaking of additions, we're going to talk a little bit about Riot Games. So this last week, Riot Games announced, let's see, what do we got? 5 games. 5 games. One of them, they have a tactical shooter called Project A, but one of them was a fighting game. I don't know if you saw any of that.
Yep.
So tell me what Riot's done. Riot's done League of Legends.
That's it. And Teamfight Tactics, which is a part of League of Legends.
And is that good?
Yes. I don't know right now. I mean, it died off, but people are still playing it, but it hit hard. Like, a lot of people played it. They're taking over esports, man. Like, they look at Fortnite and they're like, okay, they have Battle Royale. We're not even going to touch Battle Royale. They're taking every other thing. Apparently they're all going to be free to play, and they're just going to take over, dude. Like, they're going to take over the FGC, the fighting game community. They're going to take over the cards.
You think that's their plan, is that this is the other genres? That's why there's a fighting game, is because their hope is to be like
they're taking over the esports.
Yeah, I got you.
Like all the semi-popular ones. Like, I mean, there's no more RTS esports that much. I don't really pay attention to it.
I think in Korea there's still Brood War and stuff, but I don't know as much about it here.
But they're taking over, yeah. And the tactical shooter, man, it looks really good. People think it's gonna be like Overwatch, but what they don't realize is it's more like Counter-Strike than it is Overwatch. Like, it's more tactical. Like, yes, you're gonna have skills and stuff, but the skills aren't gonna be like, I'm gonna get like a massive shield like an Overwatch and like trample people and shit.
Over the top kind of thing.
Exactly. It's gonna be more skills related to tactical stuff that allows you. You know, they showcased like a thing where it generates like a wall, so that other people can't really shoot you from there, so you could take someone out. You can't shoot and move. It's going to be more realistic than people expect. You know what I mean? It's going to be more like Counter-Strike.
They also showed a game called Legends of Runeterra, which is a competitive card game. So that's going after Hearthstone then.
Yep.
So it's like Blizzard, screw you.
Because every like fighting games have died. They're smart as hell. The card game Hearthstone died. What else are they releasing?
And when we say died, we just want to indicate we know it's still alive. It's just its popularity wanes and stuff, and there's room for somebody else, I guess.
Of course, I didn't mean it completely died. It's not as relevant as it used to be.
Right.
So yeah.
The card game. So this is from Polygon. Riot Games announces League of Legends card game. This is a title that League of Legends is a title that built Riot Games' reputation in esports scene. Now the studio is releasing another game that takes place in the same universe, a card game. Legends of Runeterra will be a competitive card game that takes place in League of Legends universe, drawing from the cast of characters and items to provide a whole host of cards for players to collect, draw, and play. Is the world of League of Legends, remembering I don't play League of Legends, so any League of Legends players who's going to get mad right now, just calm the fuck down. But are those characters people will care about?
People do care about those characters. Okay. Like I personally don't, but I played League for a while. Each character has his own lore, and there's like a huge universe behind it. They just didn't really do anything about it because it's just a MOBA, right?
Right.
So I feel like with these other games, they'll be able to flesh out these characters a little bit more. The card game looks broken though, to be honest, dude. It looks super unbalanced. Like just the stuff I've been seeing on YouTube. People crushing other people with like these crazy ass card synergies and stuff.
Oh, I mean, really?
There's it's insane. Like, there's one card where, so I think champion cards are able to level up in the game in some way by killing people. There's this one card called Fiora. She's also a champion in League of Legends, and each person has like a talent when they level up. So they level up, and let's say you get like plus damage or something else that happens in the game. Fiora, when she levels up, I think twice or once, you just win the game. That's her thing.
that's like the skill or whatever on the card.
That's her skill. Yeah, you just win the game. Yeah.
Maddie will like that. Maddie's a big card game freak. I don't know if he'd like. I haven't heard him talk much about Hearthstone, but Dragon Ball and stuff like that. Like he's such a big fan of those kind of things. For me, I'm just, I can't get into them, man. I've tried to get
Me
into these
neither.
collectible card games online, and there's been a couple I've tried. And I got to say, this is just anybody, you may disagree, but it just looks unpretty. I don't know another word to use for it. But like the videos of this game, well, Hearthstone has a graphic look to it that reminded me of like a fantasy, very highfalutin fantasy, very ornate.
Yeah.
This game just, at least from what I'm seeing, it just looks really basic. And to me, one of the cool things about Hearthstone, even though I didn't even play it, was watching people play. Some of the art was really eye-catching, and at least from what I've seen, and this could all just be preliminary art, it just didn't make me go, oh.
Yeah, me neither, to be honest. Yeah.
In fact, I think some of the best parts of all these collectible card games, even though I don't like them, is their graphics, is their card graphics. I love seeing the new
and
cards,
the animations, like how cards like move around and stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely dig it.
Yeah, but with these card games, I don't know if, because in League of Legends, there's never. I mean, they make a lot of money. I spent $1,000 on that game, and none of that money went towards any gameplay things. Yeah, I spent over $1,000 on a free-to-play game over a course of like 3 years.
Free-to-play is fine, but but it was.
I paid for skins.
Oh.
So it was all cosmetic, right? Everything's ever. But with card games, I really hope there's no microtransactions for buying card packs. That's why I never really wanted to play Hearthstone, right? Because I don't want to pay to win, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell they're gonna do, because all their games are gonna be free, I think.
And if they are, most likely there's gonna be something that's
something.
Or they don't do that, and what they do is like maybe every season or every month they release a new card pack for $9.99.
They could do that, yeah. So everyone gets the same thing or something.
Yeah. So if, on January 1st, $9.99, you buy a new card pack. You can still play against anybody who doesn't have it, and you don't need it. But then the next month, $9.99, maybe they just hit. They're just hoping everybody buys into a smaller amount than.
Yeah. Or I think this is highly unlikely, or they don't put any microtransactions and they solely make money off of esports, which I don't think is going to happen, but they
right.
make a lot of money off that, dude.
It could happen. Like at some point, a company like this could say, we're making our money from a completely different.
They're releasing like 5 games.
Not only that, but come on, Abzy.
Yeah.
When you get a card game put together, adding a couple cards to a card game can't be hugely financially painful, because you're asking for some art and you're programming
probably most of the cost would revolve around balancing, like
testing QA,
balancing everything.
So
and stuff,
why couldn't you say, like, we're offsetting these prices and you say, like, in some way to the esports, like the ads that they're gonna get, and
that'd be risky, but I mean it'd be cool
because everybody could play then too. It'd be cool if and what if they were like, every single week we're releasing this and everybody just gets it for free and we're making our money on
it. Maybe I can Google it really quick while we're talking.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you know how it's gonna work.
Looking at these while you're looking, it's interesting because just the art. I'm looking at a card called Garen, and it's the art is just so weird. It's just like this really rough looking dude with some colors on each corner of the card. It's really generic looking. That's the only thing that would bother me.
So, can I read this out to you?
Yeah, just say where you're reading it from.
So this is from PCGamer.com. Legends of Runeterra announced. So right here they say, though details are scarce, what we do know is that Legends of Runeterra is a Hearthstone-style card game that wants to be more accessible and steer clear of the frustrating microtransactions that make games like Magic and Hearthstone so painfully expensive. So, yeah, that's good. That is good. Buying card games is probably not going to be... Buying the card packs is probably not going to be a
thing. What I would like? What if they said you could have different backgrounds? Like if you buy,
they did that with TFT. They did that with Teamfight Tactics. Yeah,
There you
you can
go.
have different environments to play in. Yeah.
Yeah, and that means the other person might see the old environment if they didn't buy it, but you get to see a fancy, highfalutin fucking, background that you bought that, I don't know what it would be, Tory Black getting sandwiched or something, but you get to see something crazy, and the other person doesn't see it. You get your Pornhub background, nobody else sees it, and you're just, one hand on yourself, one hand on the mouse.
Yeah. I mean, that might happen.
It's a way to do it. Sponsored by Pornhub. Hey, have me make a fucking card game based on adult movie stars. I could do it. I could make
it won't sell on Twitch, that's for sure. Maybe on YouTube.
You could sell it on Pornhub. They need to just make their own digital.
True, they should make their own game streaming platform.
Yep.
So a lot of the girls in the just chatting section on Twitch can move over there.
Oh, ouch.
Oh,
wah, wah.
Shamelessness.
So the next thing we want to talk about. By the way, you're getting a little dark on the camera. You're losing a little light.
I just I realized that. Am I dark right now?
Not too bad, but I don't know what time it is where you live.
It's kind of getting dark a little bit.
Okay, I'll warn you if you get in front of me. I'll warn you if you get too bad. You're fine now, but I'll warn you. I noticed as we continued. So before we move on to patron questions, I want to discuss this. So there was a patch. Gearbox nerfed a bunch of guns in Borderlands, and they nerfed a ton. This was in Maddie's Discord. It was in mine. People were mad. They were like, why are they nerfing a gun in a PvE game? Which I get what they're saying. But I wanted to talk about that. You, as a Borderlands 3 fan, so let's say you grab well, you are a Borderlands 3 fan, more than me.
I played it.
More than me.
I mean, I finished the story.
Way more than me. So, for sure then. What do you think about them going in and nerfing, like the current stats on weapons? Does something like that, even bother you if it's a PvE game?
I'm going to speak anecdotally, all right?
Okay.
Once upon a time in a land, like right here, me and my buddy were playing Borderlands 3, and he got this grenade that was insanely overpowered, and he had this thing where he doesn't run out of grenades ever. So we were literally running around. I couldn't shoot shit. He'd throw these cluster grenades. It's like a grenade that explodes, and then it cluster fucks, and more grenades explode, and those clusters into other grenades, and it's all corrosion, so it's all like radiation damage,
right?
And it makes the most annoying noise in your ear. It's like, it's so bad, and he keeps throwing it everywhere at anyone he sees, and he literally kills bosses in less than a second. I'm not even kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so overpowered. And it just made the game completely boring for me because I just literally didn't do anything. Literally just watched them do that. So when it gets to that point where it's like, all right, there's literally zero skill involved and you're just going to, hack grenades everywhere. It's like, I mean, they got to do something, a little something about it, because then it just, ruins it for everybody else.
Okay. Well, reading this, here's some of the data we got. Crossroads now fires 3 projectiles instead of 4, which sort of ruins the name Crossroads. Meanwhile, Lydia had its bonus damage reduced by 30%, and Flacker can now only fire 1 shot per magazine. The Hex and Firestorm grenade mods both got a 70% damage nerf.
That's what I was talking about. So they nerfed it a lot, because they nerfed it the first time and they didn't nerf it that much. But this seems like a lot, dude. Damn.
I don't know about. I mean, I get it, but people were trying to get those guns. They were farming them and all that kind of stuff. They get those guns, and they probably enjoy the game differently than you and your friend. Where you get this grenade that does all this damage. But I would say God mode does destroy a little bit of the desire for me to continue to play.
A little bit. I love unbalanced shit, like have overpowered stuff.
So do
honestly,
I.
It's
but
not
that
even
seems
PvP.
overpowered.
Yeah, a little bit. You know what I mean? A little bit where you could literally just press one button and just kill everybody like that.
So this is a real grenade he had in the game?
Yeah, like a corrosive one. Was like everybody knows that's the OP one. I think it was. I don't know, but they did nerf it once. I think they nerfed it multiple times. So people do know about that thing.
Does that bother you? Are you okay
that they nerfed it?
Yeah, I mean, so to you it makes sense, right? You think that one, at the very minimum, that one was crazy.
Yeah, I might have some bias because I just don't want to play with my friend that's gonna keep using it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even if I have it, I feel like it'll just ruin the game for me. So when it gets to that point where it ruins the game, like, I mean, if you have an overpowered weapon, but let's say it's projectile, so you have to like
Aim.
aim in front, so you have to like account for the bullet travel or something that requires skill but still one shots, I'd be completely fine with it. But if it's something that requires literally zero skill and you could just like hack grenades everywhere, I mean, you might want to look at that, and be like, hey, maybe we don't nerf it, maybe we add something to it where it's diminishing returns, something like that. So
Maybe even a longer reload or something. I mean, going
anything, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind shit being overly powered.
No,
just,
either do I. I'm actually. It's funny because we were talking about balanced gameplay in different titles a couple months ago with one of Maddie's visitors, and he was like, "No, I liked everything to be perfectly balanced," and I was like, "I don't at all. Like, I like that unbalanced." And
yeah, I don't.
Then a little later, I saw, I think it was extra credits. Somebody posted me a link. I think it was Grimblade in our server, and he posted a link saying, "Here's a video where it actually indicates that, like, gamers like unbalanced, like not broken unbalanced, but where they do require not only just having the gun." But having to think around the actual situation, because maybe that person's gun is a little overbalanced. So you not only have to use your gun, but some thought process of like, I gotta hide, because otherwise you do get this thing where it feels like, how it is, where every cleric can do the same amount of damage as every fighter, and you're all, come on.
That's the thing. Also, there's like different types of balance. Like, there's a balance that I would prefer over another type of balance. Like, for example, they could balance everything by making everything the same exact damage, same exact recoil, exact same everything, right? But they can also balance it in a way where, let's say I use like a submachine gun, it has its strengths and cons, and you use like this other submachine gun that has its own strengths and cons. It's balanced in a way where nothing is just meta, where not everybody is just using the same like two guns, right? So it could be balanced in the sense that everything is you can use anything you want depending on your play style.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I would want. I mean, I admit there are times where I do like facing somebody who's got something that you die. I sort of like armor, where you're like, I'm dying a lot. What in the fuck? It's sort of a Dark Souls way where you're like,
I want this.
Yeah, and you either want it or you want to be able to say you defeated that guy. I get that a lot of people in multiplayer games, I hear a lot of people being like, well, I don't want to face off a guy where if we're both firing, he just magically does more. And I'm like, well, sometimes that actually... Sometimes
if you invested more time and work into, like, for example, like a PvE aspect of that game to gain that gun, I feel like it's...
Yeah, because we see that in a lot of multiplayer games, where the moment you jump into multiplayer, they're like, we're neutering everything. And I don't know. I'm not saying that's not right. It is right in some games, but I would like to see some games try alternative means, I guess.
For sure.
I would like to see some flexibility on developers and going, even if they had an open version of the game where when you're playing a game and it's like, do you want leveled? Because we have seen that in some multiplayer games where you go to a server and you can choose, does armor make a difference? Or do guns make a difference? And you can click them on or off. And then when you go in, Injustice 2 does that. Where you can, when you go into fights, you were able to say, choose. Yeah, don't affect, don't let the armor affect this fight. I just want to fight you.
Or Division 2 did it well, where one of the zones was balanced and the other zones wasn't.
Yeah, right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the dark zones. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff, but when it comes to Gearbox, I would say it probably makes sense. It sucks. But, and there's probably other ways they could do it other than a huge debuff. 70%.
Yeah, huge nerfs. That's like, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, unless I'm reading that wrong, but it said by 70%, not to 70%. So that means that's a
70% less.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant. Can you imagine going into a fight? You normally are like, yeah, I got this, no problem. And you're like, what's the fuck's happening? I'm getting my butt stomped. So moving on from there, or for a second, we will talk about. Now we'll skip it. We'll skip it because we're going a little long for Maddie's. We were going to talk about Witcher 3 on the Switch, but it's. The modded version can run 60 FPS. It was just something I thought was really interesting. If anybody wants to read up on it, I'll just say you can go online. We have a lot of questions from Maddie's patrons, so I want to get to those.
Maddie also tweeted something recently about Witcher 3, like going back to it now and not, enjoying it as much as before.
Not enjoying it or enjoying it as much?
No, not enjoying it as much as before. And I feel like I agree with that a little bit because I tried like putting it up recently, and I feel like so many games tried to be like Witcher after Witcher 3 came out, that right now going back to Witcher 3, you're like, oh, there's nothing special about it.
Right.
And then you realize how the combat isn't as great. But I don't like, I love the game, but I feel like going back to it now, it's like, oh, some of that, it's just like Fable, at the time it was amazing, but now it's kind of like died down a little bit.
Well, admittedly, I didn't love Witcher 3 as much as everybody else, but I did like it
Right.
a lot. But I would say that one of the problems I had was the combat never felt, even back to me personally, back then, it didn't feel incredibly amazing or anything. So I can see people maybe having that, like you said, they have experiences post that game, and then you go back and you see games that have iterated and improved in little elements on that, and then you go back to that, and you're like, this is little. It's just like Red Dead 2. It's a good game, but no one's gonna lie and say that like it's responsive. It's not. Moving that guy's like trying to move a cancer cell. He's just like,
oh my god.
And if you're accustomed to other games now that are open world and you jump into that, you're just like, Jesus.
Dude, 100 ms latency. I played Red Dead and then I went to Odyssey after that, and I was like, what the hell? He's so responsive.
Yeah, you're like, am I on a different TV? Because there is such a massive delay, and it's so weighty. And I just recently booted up Red Dead 2 for particular reasons. I was looking into doing a video, and I moved, and I remember just going like, click, and I can hear the click before any movement occurs on Arthur at all. So it'll be like click and move.
Yeah,
Like,
and I was playing on like a less than 5 ms like special gaming TV.
Yeah, me too.
So
so we're gonna move on to patron questions. These are questions patrons have asked throughout the week to Maddie. I will skip any that we can't answer, and by all means, anybody listening, if you wanted, if you absolutely desired Maddie's response on this and you just got mine or Absy's, feel free to put it back in the questions as well. Let's see. Oh, dear Lord. Whew. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to go back to where this starts. These guys have a lot of questions. Brown Ninja says, you guys told me to give up. You told me to retire. You told me that my days were done, yet they were not. I persevered and trained, honing my edge day by day for like 3 days, and finally beat my 7-year-old cousin at FIFA 20. Take that. Oh, I did. I told him to quit. He lost to his cousin, and I told him he should quit gaming completely. So
wow.
He's basically telling me I was wrong. And Mr. Maddie actually responded to that one. All right, here we go. JPat93 says, what would you guys consider to be the best boss fight in a video game, and why? Oh, and why was it Jack of Blades in Fable 1? What would be the best boss battle to you?
That's a good one. That's a really good question. Dying Light. No, I'm just kidding. That was a horrible boss battle at the end. That was strictly. Do you remember that boss? It was literally strictly. What do you call those QuickTime events?
Yeah. Best boss
Valkyries
battle.
from God of War were really good.
Valkyries were good.
They were so good. Yeah. So I can't think of my favorite one right now, so I'll put that up for now.
I will mention not my favorite one, because I've never classified boss battles like a lot of people do, but I will say I loved the battle against the two villains in Spider-Man. You fight against
yes,
the electronic guy. No, the one where you're in the air and you're fighting.
Yeah, you're in the air.
Yeah.
There's two guys, right? I thought one of them was Rhino, but
no, I think one of them is Buzzard, right? Is like, fuck, I can't remember his name, but the dude who flies around. He's in the movie with Michael.
That was a really cool boss fight.
Yeah, that movie, or that boss fight was fun. It was unique. Fighting against two. I thought that was enjoyable. It was a little janky, but I thought it was cool to fight against.
But like cool animations and stuff too in the air, and yeah, that was a good one.
I mean, it's hard to go with a favorite boss battle, because like I think some are good and some aren't even good. They're just memorable. The Valkyries, I would personally say, are actually good and memorable, though. That was a good point about God of War. I think those are good.
Yeah, that was a huge difficulty spike in that game.
Valkyries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Massive.
You had to have
the game went from like Devil May Cry to Dark Souls.
Yeah, you have your ass puckered pretty quick. He also says, and just let Carrot know. Carrot. I love it. I'll be subscribing to his Patreon in November. Thank you very much. It is Karak,
Oh,
but
nice.
Carrot is always acceptable.
Hey, if you join the Discord November 22, you'll be able to wish me a happy birthday. So
Yeah, we're doing something really special for Absy. We're gonna pay for him to move out of Canada and move into a real. We're gonna move to Oregon, live near me. It's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah,
that'd be cool. Yeah, Nerf gun. All right.
Airsoft.
Airsoft, I mean, not Nerf.
Natural Calamity says, question for Karak. How do you come up with all your commentary? It is just all so good. Example, bag of vinegar-soaked dicks.
What?
That's what I said in one of my reviews. I said Red Dead, the guy controlled like a bag of vinegar-soaked dicks.
It's a good analogy.
I have no fucking clue. It's just stupid.
They just come to you.
I've always been really good at stupid shit.
You just bring out like random ass metaphors out of nowhere.
I do remember Absy one day came in, and I won't say what, but he was like, I want to go and do this thing. But I don't, you were saying something like you didn't feel quick enough glib. Do you know what do you remember this discussion? You were going to go on a Twitch channel, and you were like, I wish I was quicker with like burns.
Oh, and because so, I wanted to...
Because you wanted to burn people, and so I wrote some to you, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, roasting.
You were like,
your roasts were ridiculous. Yeah, because I was on that stream, I think, and you were telling me what to say to some people, and I was like, oh, that's a good one.
I have no clue. It's just, I apologize that I don't have a clue. It's just, it's always come to me. Johnny EC says, have you guys ever been so into one game for a given time that you didn't want to play anything else other than that one game? I've been really into Fallout 76, there we go, believe it or not, and setting goals for myself, such as farming for rarest outfits and so on. Shit, yeah.
The game I'm playing right now, I don't want to play any other game except that game.
Disco?
Disco Elysium. I mean, it came out like 2 days ago. I already have 30 hours in the damn thing. It sucks you win to the point where you don't want to think about any other game. Like, my headspace right now is like all the dialogue and the story from that one game. Can't think of anything else.
Game is.
I hope it doesn't it doesn't ruin the enjoyment for other games. Like I feel like right now in Outer Worlds, I'm gonna look at the dialogue and be like, is it really gonna be that? I mean, the type of shit in that game, like you meet random people. Like one of them was called "Fuck the World" and the other was like "Piss something else." And you think to yourself, you're like, oh, those are just like hooligans, you know, they're not gonna say anything interesting. And then you're like, why are you called piss? You know, piss fuck. All right. And he's like, well, the word piss fuck represents the struggle we have here in society with the bourgeoisie and stuff. I don't know. It just, that game is something, man.
Yeah.
It's something.
We had Jenna on the podcast, Jenna Bain on the podcast today.
Yeah, I watched.
And she just went off on it. She was like, what? It's audacious, but at the same time, overall makes sense, which is crazy. Because like Absy said, almost nothing is done just for... It looks like it's done for shock factor, and then you continue to play it, and you're like, oh my god, that all matches up. Like, it's
Dude,
next level.
You know what I realized as well? You can play it, like, whatever you want the game to be, it will be for you. Like, for example, if you want to play it like a crazy superstar detective, have everything be comical, everything will be comical. It'll be like a comedy game for you. For me, it's like an existential crisis philosophical game. Like I have a lot of points and you know, intellect and stuff, and like encyclopedia, because I like to learn the lore of the game. Like encyclopedia gives you a lot of lore in the world you're in. So it's a lot of lore based stuff and ability to connect with people, like empathy, and talk about so there's this thing called inner mind, where it's like a gut feeling, and you talk about like your existence and reality and what it all means. So whatever you want from that game, you can get. Like if you want it to be like waking life, you can have that. And that's the type of game I'm playing now. And then you go back and roll a different character, and you're playing a comedy game all of a sudden, and then like a sad game all of a sudden. It's just, oh, it's so good, man.
Yeah, we had 5 people on the podcast, and not a single person had like the overall same experience, and multiple ones of us had completely different narrative experiences. It's crazy.
Even dialogue choices, like everything you get from the game is different. But I gotta say, the favorite part of the game is the ancient reptilian brain talking
to you, talking down to you.
Oh my, I love his voice.
Need to give up. Michelle, this is Michelle. She says, podcast question, long-time lurker, so really happy to be part of both your communities now as a new patron. 1, we always have Karak coming to the H.A.M Radio broadcast, but would you ever come to do the international podcast, Maddie, in the near future? Maddie has been on multiple podcasts of mine, but never the international. We've talked about it multiple times, but it just hasn't worked out time-wise because he is making videos prior to me starting. And many times I'm not dissing on him. He's a couple minutes late because I think he's coming home from stuff. But yeah, he for sure would come on. If the world was ending tomorrow and you could play one more game, quick, what would you play? This was a question she asked in ours as well. I'll give the same answer. Chess. If you had one time to play a very short game and the world was ending, what would you play, Abzi?
So is the world ending tomorrow, or is
Let's
the world
say it's
ending
1 hour.
1 hour of a game? It's probably Tetris.
It's a lot of people's answers. Mick Fury,
Really?
always rocking it with the multiple questions. Number 1, Tyranny versus Disco Elysium. Which do you prefer, Karak? Disco by a tremendous amount. Abzi, same?
Yeah. Disco, 100%.
Dishonored 2 versus Rage 2. Which do you guys prefer?
Dishonored 2. I don't know. They're so different, man. Dishonored 2 is like a completely different game.
Yeah.
Rage 2 is like a shooter.
I had a lot of problems with Dishonored 2 as well, with level design and audio. So my experience was not great. Where Rage 2's gunplay was awesome. It's
True.
Jumping and getting the skill to float. Double
while you're aiming.
Oh my god, it was so good. And if you kill somebody, it adds 10% length of time in the air. It was so. I would it's gonna sound really bad, but I might say Rage 2.
Okay. No, that's. I mean, they're completely different games.
They
that's
are
the thing.
Overall very different. Number 3 is Val Ferris just came out. Are you guys gonna play it? I've never heard of that. Val Ferris. I'm gonna look it up on Google.
How do you spell Ferris?
It's Valfaris.
Okay.
It's a 2D heavy metal infused 2D action platform.
Oh.
So Abzi sounds like he might. I am not a big 2D fan other than Ori and the Blind Forest and a couple others.
Really?
Yeah.
I know. I really like those games. Oh, this looks pretty gnarly, dude.
Yeah. So he'll probably play.
Looks pretty badass. Oh, I know this. Yeah. I thought it looked really cool, but there's so many particle effects everywhere. So hopefully it's good. I don't know.
The only other question we can answer from him is Black Sad is coming out 11/5. Are you guys going to play it? I absolutely will play that.
What game?
Black Sad. It's the cat detective game that looks like a Telltale's game, but it's based on a comic, Black Sad, about a cat in a noir.
Oh, it's a PS4 game?
Noir world.
Oh, that looks pretty cool. Yeah, it looks pretty noir.
Noir. That's what it looks like.
Noir.
The Sci-Fi Man says, what's the worst small injury that you hate? Like stubbing your toe, banging your head.
Stubbing my toe. Biting my lip.
Hangnail.
What's a hangnail?
Hangnail's when you get a little piece of skin on a fingernail and it's sore. Yeah.
Oh, I hate that so
it's like
much.
String cheese for your fingers.
Oh, it's so bad. And then I always pull them out.
Yeah,
dude.
I pull them out,
terrible.
and then they're always painful for a little bit of time.
Yeah, they take a little bit of skin out of there too, and it starts burning.
I also get canker sores occasionally, especially with hard candy, which I like to eat a lot, and that's like a little ulcer in your mouth sometimes because it's acidic. Those things can be a biatch. They can
also, when I get a herpes
painful.
Outbreak, it's pretty bad. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Okay, moving on.
Relax.
The Grimblade. Hey, you know what? I ain't gonna be humping you. The Grimblade says, "What's your favorite designed level? Not your favorite game with good level design, but an individual level or region. Mine for sure is the Cradle in Thief 3. Best level I've ever played. Got any?
Oh, you go first.
The Cradle in Thief 3.
That's yours?
Yeah, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh my god. Okay, because best level design, I think I really enjoy like the really weird Dark Souls level design and stuff like that.
What about
best
Control,
like singular
Abzi?
level?
When Control would adjust the level around you or something. Does that impress you?
Yeah, that's like pretty cool, neat stuff. But like, I'm just thinking, what about like, do you mean PvP levels?
No,
or
he just says,
game?
what's your favorite designed level? Not your favorite game with good level design, but an individual standout level. Region. He also says region.
Region.
So that could be like World of Warcraft, like Thousand Needles or something.
I loved Skellige from Witcher 3 a lot, but that's probably because it reminds me a lot of Skyrim. but I really liked the layout of it all. I liked it more than the norm the actual region,
Yeah.
like the main one.
Let's see. JPat says, do you guys see a new entry coming for Splinter Cell series in 2020 or 2021? So do we see a new Splinter Cell being made? That's not the VR game that we know that they're making.
Maybe a mobile game.
Yeah, I don't know. Splinter Cell seems to have died on the vine, but Michael Ironside's made multiple one-line tweets about it, and he's the voice actor from the original series. So he
You know what? Yeah, I don't know what the issue is with Ubisoft. Their games are so similar that one game overtakes another game. Like, for example, Assassin's Creed took Prince of Persia. There's no more Prince of Persia. You know, I feel like Ghost Recon is now like Splinter Cell.
That is
so if you want like that
really good. Far Cry took over Ghost Recon Ghost Recon took over some of Far Cry's elements because they do copy elements a lot.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you don't know if the Splinter Cell that these guys liked would even be. It may be Splinter Cell Odyssey, kind of.
I mean, I feel like it's a point where they're just gonna be like, if you want to play Splinter Cell, just play Ghost Recon or something like that. Also, there's doing something that I dislike, where a lot of Ubisoft's games they're making it into like one thing. Like, for example, they're all open world games with outposts now. Like, it's not. The only thing that's different is the micro gameplay. The macro just all seems very similar.
That's a really good point. That's a really good, and I think I just saw a news article, a website article that said the same thing. Like, not all your games need to be the same, Ubisoft or something like that. And it is
like, I really hope Watch Dogs is its own thing. I really hope it's not like the same exact thing.
Me too. Like that, it's not like Assassin's Creed Odyssey in the future. Like they do some.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff. Let's see. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. HR Hodes 1518 says 1 to 2 things you like in Fallout you would like to see added to the Elder Scrolls and vice versa. Ooh, man, I feel like they're so overlapping already.
Yeah, isn't there a fan theory that Fallout is just Skyrim in the past?
There was, but I think even Maddie said that's like been
they debunked
wrong.
it because there's this one like plant that's available in both of them. One thing in Fallout you would like.
I'd like a spell that took Fallout 4's VATS and put it into Skyrim.
Ooh.
So like it was a spell, slowed down time. You were able to like, I don't know, but it does at minimum that, and not you couldn't overuse it. That would be the problem. But I like VATS. I think it's pretty
true. Weapon variety maybe. I mean, they can't really have like a rocket launcher, and imagine having a rocket launcher in Elder Scrolls.
But there's no like crossbows in Elder Scrolls, so you could add crossbows.
Oh, true. Right. Yeah, or like a slingshot that slings all the junk you find in the world, or something like that. Automated slingshot.
You like somebody's tankard from an inn, and you just put it in your slingshot.
Yeah, I loved that weapon in Fallout 3.
Yeah. Let's see. Aor says, "Hey, Maddie and Karak, before you guys were dedicated to the careers you've had and sustained until now, after leaping from something else, did you experience any sort of false starts? Things didn't go as planned. Maybe you had to fall back on previous job or occupation, or did you guys just grind through and remain committed? This is before seeing results like engagement and views and all that. Also, did you feel ready when you made the leap to concentrate on gaming coverage? Context: I'm a college student who never feels quite ready or equipped when jumping off of the mold of what I traditionally believed." Before you guys were dedicated to the careers you've had or sustained, and yeah, I can tell you that if I hadn't got laid off, I would not have stopped work to do YouTube. So I was not grinding, and I was not remaining committed. So yeah, that was a false start. Not a false start, but I don't, unless something had exploded, I just don't think I would have gave up a career where you get paid every month and and I was good at. I don't think I would have jumped off to this. So to me, that's sort of a false start because the only way it got started was getting laid off. What about you? You've done multiple jobs. You're sort of a jack of all trades. Has there ever been a false start? Well, you said you false started Twitch. You did it for a while, and then you sort of...
False start, like just start and then give up?
Things didn't go as planned. Maybe you had to fall back on previous jobs or occupations. So yeah, so like you were doing, because you were doing Twitch and then we're like, and then went back to more of the programming stuff and then came back to Twitch, or how did that all
Yeah,
work?
but life got in the way.
Gotcha.
I guess life got in the way, and also I realized that in order to really push myself, or in order to get my name out there and grow, streaming every day wasn't gonna help, because I was streaming to the same people over and over. So
Exactly.
I did a bunch of like behind the scenes kind of promotional stuff for a while before I actually started consistently.
I would also say this for your last point, sir. You said, I'm a college student who never feels quite ready. Every single car has to be turned over once or twice before it starts. So, to me, I don't see anything wrong with starting and stopping. And, you start something, you're like, okay, this is, I started with Let's Plays, did not work out. Reviews always worked out, but I wanted to do other stuff because reviews just have no long tail for views. They drop off and you never ever see them,
Retention.
Retention, yeah. And or you see retention, sorry, you just don't see long-term views. People just stop viewing them because the review no longer matters. And the game is gone, and it's just you'll get one or two people interested in some arcane fucking game like Dark that I reviewed, or some vampire game or something. So I would say, yeah, just keep plugging away. There's nothing wrong with not being ready too. Shit, sometimes we were talking about hustling. Sometimes you got to hustle, and I think some false starts help. You learn from false starts too. I don't know about you. I don't know if you've had this issue. But I've learned from multiple failures. In fact, I've learned, like we always say,
that's the only way you can succeed, right? If you fail and try again.
You know why? This is something they teach you in martial arts. There's 4 steps to martial arts: doing it wrong and not knowing, doing it wrong and knowing, doing it right and knowing, and then doing it right. And just that's it. And I think without having failures, you won't even know what success is. You would have no clue. If I don't know what a shitty view count is on a YouTube, I wouldn't know what a good view count is. I could compare it to other people, but that doesn't mean a lot if somebody's got 8 million views and I have 800. I won't know what's good or not. You have to fail and you have to have those mistakes and go, that's not good. And you gather that, and then you can now do a good one and go, okay, that worked, and you can combine those and figure out what worked and what didn't work for you. Ben Jam says, hypothetical question: you slip into a coma for a year and recover with no problems. The first thing you do after you wake up is check your phone for video game news. What video game announcement and or release surprises you the most? You cannot say Fallout 3 or KOTOR remaster. What announcement? I'll tell you, Blizzard. No, I won't say a Blizzard joke.
No.
So what would surprise me the most?
Half-Life 3.
Yeah, no shit, right? Yeah, Half-Life 3 is a card game, as Reg said that one time in the podcast. It would just piss off the world. The world would explode. If they were like, we want to announce Half-Life 3, and it pauses, and then they have like a subtitle called like The Adventures of Half-Life, and suddenly it's a collectible card game. Just people would be like, what the fuck? What would be really surprising? EA drops all microtransactions from all games.
Oh, it's just like any game news?
Yeah, he says any announcement or release surprises you the most. Even 2021 NBA has no micros would surprise me.
This is what should happen, hopefully, but this would surprise me as well. If Nintendo goes like, hey, we're not making consoles anymore, we're just going to release our games on all platforms.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's a good one. That's better than mine. Tropical Ice Cow, excellent username. 2 questions. 1, what games for PS5 and Xbox Scarlet, A, will be launch titles, and B, what launch titles would you love to see? So what games do we think will be launch titles, and what games would we like to see as launch titles?
I think that zombie game is going to be a launch title. What's it called? Or is it not? Yeah, the Dying
Light 2?
Light.
No.
The Last of Us 2. Wouldn't that be is that a launch title or no?
No, Last of Us 2 is PS4.
Oh,
It's coming out next month or next
what
year.
happened to
at the
Ghost of
starting of the month.
Tsushima?
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima sort of came and has quieted down, but I assume that'll be a cross-platform where they're like, look at it on 4, but here it is on 5, that kind of thing. But
Cyberpunk is coming out before.
So for them, like Sony,
God of War 2. That's something I would hope for.
Maddie has suggested Horizon Zero Dawn 2, but Guerrilla just yesterday announced they were finally hiring for a new title,
IP?
so it's not enough time. Yeah.
Resistance 4. I don't know.
Yeah, Killzone, like a new Killzone.
Killzone.
Because they haven't returned to Killzone.
No.
I don't really necessarily know if all the backwards compatibility works, if these companies care so much, but I think with Microsoft they care more, and I would assume Fable 4. That would just be my assumption.
For Microsoft? That'd be really
my
cool,
assumption is that we'll start hearing more and more room. If Playground can do it, we'll start to see Fable 4 in some way. That would be a huge get for Microsoft, if that's possible.
Yeah.
And then, he's got more. He says he would love to see Killzone and Halo 6. Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite. How do you think Game Pass on PC will affect future console sales? I don't really
Game Pass on PC affect future console sales?
Yeah. I mean, there's almost no overlap. The price difference is dramatic.
Yeah, if someone's buying a PC, they are buying a PC. They're not deciding between a PC or a console, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, I've literally, and I deal with kids on the side in my secondary job, and I've never heard anybody there ever state, should I get a console of any kind or should I get a PC? They're not even in the same, that would be like, should I get a bike or a fucking car?
Or a car.
They're just not.
Or a bike or a fucking spaceship. It's like
there's such a huge difference in the cost, especially like an Xbox S or even an original you can get for $150 now, versus a good PC that'll be able to run Windows and a game on top of it at a good frame rate. Like at some point, you start adding, as Abzy knows, he just bought a PC. It doesn't take long before the price starts to get to a point to where they're not even in the same discussion.
No, it's like 5 times more than a car, like 5 times or 4 times. I don't think Game Pass on PC is gonna make anyone be like, hey, I was thinking of buying a PS4, but now that Game Pass is on PC, I'm gonna be saving money. Like, I don't think that thought process is gonna come to anybody, to be honest. Even if they do cross-platform between all platforms, the people who are gonna buy a PC are gonna buy a PC now or later. You know what I mean? Like, nothing's gonna influence their decision, depending on the games that are gonna come out.
Yeah, so I think somebody who has an Xbox as an invested and has money to buy a PC might get a PC and then say, I don't need the Xbox anymore. That's fine, but there's still a ton of games right now on PC that are borked that work on the Xbox. HDR, many HDR games.
Zero.
Yeah, many games run on the Xbox better than the PC or have a feature that the PC doesn't, like HDR. And until Windows fixes HDR and gets all that running, then...
I hope so. That'd be cool. I'd buy an HDR monitor like right away.
Yeah, that's one of their biggest issues. Good question, though. Paul, known formally as Dimple, says, what's the hardest you have ever worked for a trophy or achievement?
Probably Xbox 360 days when, I thought achievements really mattered because they added to your game score. I think it was like a Gears of War one where you had to kill like 2 million locusts or some shit like that, something crazy.
Did you do it? You did that?
I think so. I kept playing the goddamn game and finally got that like 2.0 kill or whatever the hell. We had to kill like so many and you get a bunch of Gears game score. I did one of those, in one of the games, either 2 or 3, I think.
Damn, son, that's crazy. For me, I don't give a shit in any way about achievements or trophies, so I wouldn't even have the easiest. I wouldn't even be able to answer you. I've never.
You know what's crazy? Like, I like seeing that I just completed an achievement, like now on Steam, but I never ever. I used to do this in Xbox 360 where I actually chased them down, but I never do that anymore. But but at the same time, I just like seeing the pop up for some reason. It just makes me feel like I did something.
I hate them so much. I have them turned off on every system I own. I leave them on. I think they're on the Xbox. Every time you update the Xbox, they turn back on for me. So I don't rush to turn it off. But on if I can and I remember, I turn them off. I don't want to see it pop up in the corner. I don't want. You know why? Because I get nervous that developers develop for those. Kill 100 of these. What have they adjusted in their game for these achievements? And because if they find out people are grinding for them, it's like, hey, collect 1,000 nin roots in fucking Elder Scrolls. And I'm like, that's not an achievement I ever want.
Nin roots, that's what it was.
Nin roots. I was wondering if that was the one you were talking about. Yeah. Good question, though. Aunt Jemima, you guys have any good brand recommendations for desks or gaming chairs? Preferably something I could get for under 100. Or 200. Oh. 200, I apologize.
200? First of all, I don't think gaming chairs are the way to go.
Me neither.
I have this fucking thing. It's a $200 gaming chair. It's not even one of the good ones, and it's just like my ass. Like you have no idea what's going down.
You have no idea what his ass is going through right now.
No, it's pretty bad. Like I don't know. I went back home. I visited my parents, and my dad has this like leather chair. It's like a no-name one, or it is a named one, but it's not a gaming chair.
Yeah.
And it looks very basic. It looks like one of those really simple, basic chairs. But you sit on it, and it like adjusts to, like however you want to sit. It just adjusts.
Yeah.
But I think that's like a $600 chair or something. But those ones are way better than gaming chairs.
I agree. I would say that an Amazon Basics executive padded chair that you can buy is much better. I've owned like 4 gaming chairs, and this is a replacement. And I finally just said, screw it, no more gaming chairs ever. I'm going to like an actual office chair. It's been 10 times better. And they're made, I don't know what it is about gaming chairs. They're not made very strong. In fact, Tech Yes City, who's a tech YouTuber, or Tech City, he just posted a picture where he's like, and he's a small dude. He's like 110 wet with cement shoes. And he broke the piston off of the same gaming chair that I broke the piston off of like a year and a half ago. And I was like, well, I'm pretty big. You know, I'm 250, but I shift around a lot. So I'm like, maybe I was busted. And so I was just like, oh, it's probably just me. And then he did the same thing. I'm like, okay, that's a defect. Like, if this little dude's breaking it, it's not me. So
yeah,
and it was a gaming chair again. I just don't think that they're very good. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Good question though. Destroy the Game asks Maddie a question. We'll move this, and again, if you guys have questions you want Maddie to answer, feel free to put them back in here because some of these are for him as well. But we'll ask each one of us. What's the farthest distance you've ever run?
In real life?
In real life. In real life.
Like a couple miles. Just like a full run without stopping?
Yeah.
Oh, just 1 mile probably. Like jogging.
Because you were never, I mean, you like other than school, right? In PE.
What do you mean?
Did PE have you run the mile?
Like the mile run?
Yeah,
I did that one, but like when I did it in school, I walked. Like I ran and I walked. I was a pretty lazy kid. I was pretty fat.
The most I've ever ran was 13.2 miles. I thought I went farther one time, but it just dawned on me that was when I had the odometer broken. But 13.2 miles. I love running, even when I'm
the shit out of me.
What? Oh no, because you did. That's what I said. You don't require
like without even taking a breath, without even stopping.
No, without stopping. Yeah. I
mean, you don't jog for that long,
dude. People jog for like marathons, are like I don't know, 26 or fucking. Then you have this. But but I've always ran, even when I was really heavy. When I'm really heavy, I run. When I'm thin, I run. It does. So my lungs are. That's the only positive I've ever got. Was insanely good lungs. Because when I work out, it's 2 hours a day. It's all cardio. Plus, I don't get tired in that way. So that's the one thing that I have that's a positive for me. Because I've told you I've got other injuries, but that's the one good thing I have. And you only ran a mile because there wasn't a reason to run when after you graduated, unless you were running from thugs. So like, there's no expectation.
Wait, what do you mean? Like gym? I mean,
if you wanted to go to the gym, but a lot of people who go to the gym don't run for more than a mile unless that's their thing.
No,
so for you were lifting.
I don't like cardio that much.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm saying there isn't a reason to be embarrassed because as humans, once you graduate high school, which is where they do have you run.
Yeah.
Most people, they may not even have to do that. It's just not a thing. And the next is, Karak, what's the most amount of weight you deadlifted? I rarely ever deadlift.
Yeah, me neither.
Man, I'm a deadlifted. Most I ever benched was 425. I've done that. But a lot of our stuff isn't deadlift, it's martial arts stuff. So we don't. I
never got into powerlifting at all.
I
never got into that.
I do like it, but it's almost never full on max weights.
Yeah.
So it's it's usually very slow, or 21s, which is. Have you ever done a 21 when you work out? Do you know what a 21 is?
Remind me.
So it's like pretend you're doing curls, but you can do it with any lift. But you basically lift halfway up 7 times, then you go halfway down 7 times, then you do 7 full.
Oh,
and
I know what that is.
3 times 7, 21. And so it's just an old Ironman style workout. I like those.
I know what that is. Yeah. There's another thing called FST that I like doing. It's called fascia strength training. Fascia stretch training, where it's like seven sets, but you can only rest like 30 seconds between each one, and in those 30 seconds you have to be stretching. We stretch in middle of everything if we're lifting. Like it allows more room for muscle to grow.
It does.
So it's really good.
Zeno Machina says, this is the last question. Which of these scenarios do either of you think will occur first in the near future? 1, androids take the jobs of humans and cause public outrage. B, transhumanism becomes as attainable as tattoos, and there being discrimination and public distrust towards augmented individuals. C, intimate relations between androids and Homo sapiens causing public outrage. D, an alien race publicly makes their existence known. Good question. B, I would agree. Did you
augmentations?
Yeah, because we've already got people who are working on that right now.
Yeah.
I think C is already happening. You already have people worrying about people fucking dolls, and that one guy makes a sect dolls that looks pretty realistic, and they talk. I find it odd because it's okay for a guy to buy a flesh mouth, whatever those things are called.
Fleshlights. Yeah.
It's okay to buy a fleshlight that's been made by molding, Tory Black's vagina, but if it happens to look somewhat real and have AI, it's suddenly this outrageous thing.
This like moral fucking,
Yeah, so fuck the tailpipe of a car, but you're not able to, and that to me, I think is we're already starting to see that.
Yeah.
People are getting nervous. I'll just tell you one thing. My answer to all these is B, but the worst job anybody's going to have in the future is cleaning sex robots. I'm just saying.
Like what if they start like a rental place where you can rent them?
Rent to own. And you return it after like
somebody return it, and then you rent someone else's.
A refurbished sex. No. Can you imagine that? It'd be just absolutely grotesque. Anyway, amazing question in the podcast on. I want to thank Absy for showing up. I think we're
randomly. You guys don't know who I am, by the way, but just this dude.
No, I've dropped your name multiple times in the podcast.
Oh,
okay,
yeah, hi.
Yeah. So some people will for sure know you because I've definitely dropped your name.
Cool.
But I want to say thanks to him for coming in on somewhat short notice. He also has bad tooth pain, but he made it through the entire thing.
Yeah, I have to get my wisdom teeth out. Pretty soon. So
yeah, bitch. I can do it. I'll fly up. I'll do it for $20.
Yeah, come do it for me, dude.
Yeah, spin kick them out of your head. It's gonna hurt, but only for a second.
Oof.
Maybe not.
Imagine. Oh my god, electric cutters just.
Oh, yeah. Tooth repair is such a bitch. At the end of this, we always like to come up with a hashtag. So for those people who got this far, I first of all want to say thank you for listening to both of us. I know we're not Maddie, and we're not the excellence that is the Maddinator. But if you did make it this far, hashtag nerfing for nerfing guns in Borderlands 3. So if you got this far, respond to... what is your Twitter, Absy? Please?
Twitter.com /
at what?
At ABSSII_. So Absy_.
Absy_ at Jeremy Penter and at G27 status. Say hashtag nerfing if you got this far. Once again, thank you to him. Thank you for everybody sticking around. If you have those questions and you want to ask Maddie again, like I said, I won't take it personally. If you want to post those back in the podcast section, that's it for us. And we both, you know what? We say peace out in Maddie's, so I don't even have to change our external.
Oh, peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, peace out. I always say or weekend because I always forget. I don't know. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate it.